I was reincarnated as the supreme son of the ancestral dragon, but the very first thing I said to him was, "The dragon clan will perish within 3 years. You should hand over control of the clan to me." Then, before the ancestral dragon could even react, I used the chaos pearl gifted by the system to imprison my old man, the ancestral dragon. And I even threw in 99 little pink female dragons. Seeing this, the ancestral dragon immediately roared, "Unfilial son, what are you doing? Right now, the primordial era is in the midst of the great war between the dragon, phoenix, and Qilin clans. The dragon clan is just one battle away from dominating the primordial era. Your brothers have all died on the battlefield. Do you intend to be a coward and surrender?" Hearing this, I went directly inside the chaos pearl. Then, I spoke to my old man, the ancestral dragon, "Father, I want to leave a glimmer of hope for the dragon clan. This is a space within the chaos pearl. You can cultivate here as well." After speaking, I turned and walked out of the chaotic space, leaving the ancestral dragon fuming with rage. "You rebellious son, let me out of here. Otherwise, sooner or later, you'll be the ruin of the dragon clan." No matter how much he struggled, he couldn't take a single step out of the chaotic space. Meanwhile, I had already returned to the main hall of the dragon palace. Next, I summoned all the current high-ranking members of the dragon clan. Soon, the dragon ministers, in their human forms, arrived at the main hall. They then bowed to me. "We pay our respects, Your Highness." Sitting on the throne, I announced in a clear voice, "The ancestral dragon has been gravely injured and has gone into seclusion. From now on, I will be in full charge of all matters concerning the dragon clan." As soon as I finished speaking, everyone present looked at each other in dismay. But no one doubted my words, because my current cultivation was only at the golden immortal realm. No one would have imagined I could imprison the ancestral dragon. Just then, someone spoke up. "We support all of Your Highness's decisions. Please give us your next command." Hearing this, I nodded in satisfaction. Then, my expression suddenly changed. "I have decided that starting tomorrow, we will withdraw from the three-clan war." The moment these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed on the spot. They wondered if they were dreaming. Seeing this, the pressure emanating from my body erupted outwards. Although I'm only at the golden immortal realm, because I am the direct heir of the ancestral dragon, my bloodline alone is enough to suppress them. Then, with a serious expression, I spoke. "The ancestral dragon is now gravely injured, and all of my older brothers have died in battle. Do you wish to see the dragon clan completely annihilated? There's no need for further discussion. In 3 days, announce to the primordial era that our dragon clan is withdrawing from the three-clan war." Just then, another person spoke up, "But, Your Highness, what should we do if the Phoenix and Qilin clans come knocking at our door?" Hearing this, my expression turned cold. "Why are you spouting so much nonsense? Scram at once." After a moment of silence, the dragon clan members left the main hall one by one. After they left, I rubbed my head. I never thought being the head of a clan would be so troublesome. I only said a few sentences, and now I'm already a bit tired. Then, I remembered the system's reward, the innate two forms life and death grand array. This array is already complete. I just need to set it down, and it will activate automatically. Moreover, the core of the array can be moved. This way, I can totally use the Chaos Pearl as the core and carry it with me. By doing so, within the Dragon Clan's territory, I'll be able to mobilize the power of the Grand Array at any time. The thought of this filled me with joy again. This Grand Array in place, so what if the Qilin and Phoenix clans join forces? You have to understand, the innate two forms life and death Grand Array can evolve the 4 symbols and 8 trigrams, containing the endless power of creation. And with the Chaos Pearl as its core, not even a Grand Golden Immortal could do anything against it. Plus, the system also rewarded me with the All Heavens Destruction Divine Thunder. If I really can't win a fight, 1 nuke would be enough to bring nuclear peace to the primordial era. Soon, I had the array set up. Next, I went to a secret chamber. From now on, I must work hard to enhance my bloodline. I am a son of the ancestral dragon to begin with. If I were to improve just a little, wouldn't that put me on the same level as the ancestral dragon? Soon after, the system informed me that the enhancement was successful. I just felt a warmth spreading through my body, and for a moment, I couldn't help but change back into my original form. Under the system's power, the color of my scales deepened, and the strength of my physical body also increased by a huge amount. Then, I transformed back into my human form. I decided that I must start cultivating seriously. Just then, the system's voice suddenly rang out in my mind. Detecting that the host is in a good mood, 2 options are now presented. Option 1. Cultivate diligently. Reward: the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. This technique allows cultivation up to the Grand Luo Golden Immortal Realm. Option 2. Slack off to the extreme. Reward. The title, Slacker Immortal. Upon hearing this, I chose the first option without a moment's hesitation. After that, I immediately began to cultivate the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. 3 days later, the news of the Dragon Clan's withdrawal from the War of the Three Clans spread throughout the primordial world. At that moment, on the Heavenly Devil Mountain in the west, demon ancestor Luo Hu was in the middle of refining the 4 immortal slaying swords. When he heard this news, he nearly suffered from cultivation deviation and perished. He had planned to use the resentment from the War of the Three Clans to obtain the immortal slaying sword formation. If the Dragon Clan were to withdraw from the war, wouldn't his plan be ruined before it even began? Thinking of this, Luo Hu snorted coldly and said, "It's easy to enter the tribulation, but as for escaping, how could I possibly let you get your way?" With that, he tore open the void and vanished without a trace. On Jade Capital Mountain, Hong Jun also couldn't understand the sudden change within the Dragon Clan. Now that the Great Tribulation has started, those who have entered it shouldn't be able to leave, and yet, the celestial mechanisms are now in chaos, so even he couldn't divine the matters of the Dragon Clan. Meanwhile, when the ancestor of the Phoenix Clan, Yuan Feng, heard the news, her first reaction was to breathe a sigh of relief. That madman from the Dragon Clan has finally backed down. Now, she could finally focus on dealing with the Qilin clan. How dare the Qilin clan kill a direct descendant of my Phoenix clan? However, the Qilin clan's reaction was the complete opposite. She Qilin roared angrily, "Old dragon, you want to withdraw from the fight? Then who will I hold accountable for my children who died in battle? You want to quit? I won't allow it." Luo Hu's scheme was both ingenious and simple. The Phoenix clan killed the dragons. The Dragon clan killed the Qilin. The Qilin clan killed the Phoenix. This threw all 3 sides into a war of attrition. Naturally, it's not acceptable for one side to simply quit now. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 years passed. The vitality lost during the War of the Three Clans had recovered slightly, with the sole exception of the Dragon clan. Because dragons have difficulty reproducing, 1,000 years was nowhere near enough time for them to restore their strength. One day, ferocious flames suddenly ignited above the East Sea. The flames blazed fiercely, even within the seawater. Furthermore, countless firebirds came soaring through the sky, and beneath them, countless Qilin strode across the sea. The once hostile Phoenix and Qilin had actually joined forces. A moment later, the flames burned a gigantic abyss into the East Sea, leaving the Dragon Palace completely exposed. Then, Shi Qilin roared from the sky, "Old dragon, get out here for me now." This tremendous change alarmed all the dragons in the East Sea. They all knew that the ancestral dragon was in secluded cultivation, so for a moment, everyone panicked. "We're done for. The Phoenix and Qilin clans have come to our doorstep. What are we going to do? The Phoenix and Qilin clans' attack is too fierce. Even the waters of the East Sea have been completely evaporated. Are they trying to annihilate us?" The more timid ones even collapsed limply to the ground. "Our clan has stayed away from the battlefield for 1,000 years. And yet, the Phoenix clan still refuses to spare us." I sat high on the main throne, saying nothing. A moment later, I spoke up. "Although father is still in death seclusion, as long as I am here, none of you have to worry." As soon as my voice fell, an elderly clansman suddenly spoke up, "Secluded cultivation, my ass. I see you don't care about the survival of the Dragon clan at all." Then, many others immediately chimed in to agree. "That's right, what right does a little brat have to rule over us?" The ones who spoke were all my uncles, so I didn't pay them any mind at first. But that only made them even more arrogant. 1,000 years ago, under the leadership of the ancestral dragon, the Phoenix and Qilin clans wouldn't have dared to come to our door. Even if he's in seclusion, I believe the ancestral dragon's will hasn't changed. I think Ao Zan is afraid the ancestral dragon will blame him, so he doesn't dare to report that the Phoenix and Qilin clans have attacked. In the Great Hall, Ao Quan stood proudly in the center. His draconic might shook everyone's spirit, but a more sensible elder still scolded him. "Elder Ao Quan, what do you think you're doing? With a great enemy at our gates, this is no time for infighting." Hearing this, Ao Quan burst out laughing, his every move exuding a powerful aura. "Don't you all know that to resist outsiders, one must first secure the inside? The Dragon clan is in this state today all because of this kid Ao Zan's incompetent rule. What does a greenhorn like him know? What right does he have to sit on that throne? Just because he's the ancestral dragon's direct heir? I was originally going to show that old fellow some respect, but on second thought, I decided against it. So, I directly unleashed the power of my bloodline. A terrifying draconic might instantly swept through the entire hall. I am, after all, the ancestral dragon's direct heir, and with my bloodline enhanced by the system, my lineage has already far surpassed that of all other dragons. In the ancestral dragon's absence, I am the Dragon Emperor. Then, with a deadpan expression, I looked at Ao Quan and said, I was planning to show you some respect. But you really started to think you were something, didn't you? At this moment, Ao Quan was suffering in silence. My immense draconic might was so powerful he couldn't even utter a single word. Just then, from the sky above the East Sea, the first Qilin laughed loudly. Old dragon, why won't you come out? Are you scared? After the voice entered the great hall, the pillars were shaken by the powerful sound wave to the point of collapse. Some of the more timid ones were scared to tears. Your Highness, please, ask the ancestral dragon to come out of seclusion. Otherwise, our dragon clan will be doomed today. I looked at the scene in the hall and shook my head. The ones here are already the powerhouses of the dragon clan, and yet they're acting like this now. I can't even imagine how the others must be. Suddenly, the roof of the great hall was ripped right off. A black flame suddenly surged. This was the 12-petal world extinguishing Black Lotus. You must understand, the 12-petal world extinguishing Black Lotus was formed from a chaos green lotus seed. But unexpectedly, it had been given to Yuan Feng by Luo. This truly is a move to annihilate the dragon clan. After seeing me, the first Qilin let out a laugh. Since the old dragon isn't here, I'll just kill you, his direct heir. I'd like to see if he comes to save you or not. As soon as his voice fell, the first Qilin pulled out a jet black long spear. This was the primordial era's #1 baleful treasure, the god-slaying spear. All the dragons closed their eyes. They had already given up resisting and were preparing to meet their death. To this, I just gave a faint smile and then casually blocked the god-slaying spear. If you looked closely, you'd see a tiny taiji diagram was blocking the tip of the god-slaying spear. A dragon shouted in pleasant surprise, "It's His Highness. He's made a move." He actually caught the first Qilin's attack with a single hand. The dragons, having survived what they thought was certain death, were now crying all over the place. They weren't thinking about how I could block the first Qilin's attack. They only knew that their highness had saved them. As for the first Qilin, he gritted his teeth, cold sweat beading on his forehead. This is a formation array. As expected, the dragon clan had a trick up their sleeve. The next second, with the great hall beneath me as the center, an arcane pattern lit up. Then, a million-li-wide formation diagram covered the entire East Sea Dragon clan. Then, I announced in a clear, loud voice, "Welcome, you two clans, into my grand formation." As I spoke, my eyes turned one black and one white. But in their depths, a golden light still shone. The power of the Chaos Pearl was being continuously unleashed. Even the ancestral dragon was contributing its power from within, but the hand I hid behind my back was trembling uncontrollably. Showing off feels great, sure, but the power of the god-slaying spear is still not something I can withstand. After calming myself, I shouted loudly, "Dragon Clan, hear my command. Pour your power into the formation diagram beneath you. All of you, lend me your strength." After absorbing enough power, a massive taiji diagram appeared at my feet. The infinite gives rise to taiji. The taiji gives rise to the two polarities. The next second, the taiji diagram began to spin rapidly. The flames covering the East Sea actually transformed into a monstrous flood, and this was no ordinary flood. It was the power of yin, specifically meant to counter the Phoenix clan. The Phoenixes are divine sunbirds, naturally attuned to fire, so Yuan Feng was instantly horrified upon seeing the seawater. Phoenix clan, retreat quickly. Meanwhile, Shi Qilin, seeing that things were going south, had long since led his clansmen out of the East Sea. The reason I had held back all this time was to wait for this very moment. Now, not a single one of them will escape. The next second, I activated the formation. With yin and yang reversed, countless waves of seawater surged toward the two clans. A great number of Qilin and Phoenixes were struck down by the seawater, their bodies uncontrollably falling into the grand formation below, becoming fuel for it in the blink of an eye. Two patriarchs wanted to save them, but they could only rescue a fraction. More than half of the two clans' people were dead in no time. With a cold expression, I made a grasping motion with one hand. The power of the formation in my hand operated ceaselessly. The previous blood debt must be paid in blood. However, as powerful as the formation was, it could only catch them by surprise. Soon, the members of the two clans flew up into the sky. Yuan Feng's eyes turned red seeing her few remaining clansmen. It's true that the Dragon clan has difficulty reproducing, but how much faster could her Phoenix clan be? At this moment, Shi Qilin spoke up, "Yuan Feng, let's break that formation together." He's nothing but a coward hiding in his shell. As his voice fell, Qilin raised the god-slaying spear and thrust it toward the formation. The seawater that had just fallen was stained with the color of blood. But just as the tip of the spear was about to pierce the formation, a seemingly ordinary thin film suddenly appeared on it. This was the power of cosmic law, evolved from yin and yang. This power wrapped tightly around the god-slaying spear, and it continuously wore down the spear's power. Seeing this, Qilin pushed even harder. This caused the malevolent, baleful energy on the god-slaying spear to become even more turbulent. Under Qilin's fierce assault, he actually managed to briefly break the bindings of the cosmic law. A breach was torn in the grand formation. Seeing this, I unhesitatingly summoned the power of the two polarities give rise to the four symbols. The waters of the entire East Sea roiled once more. The next second, a sky-high waterspout appeared on the calm sea surface, connecting the clouds with the East Sea. Then, countless thunderclouds gathered in the sky. The annihilation of the two polarities contains infinite methods of evolution, and lightning is one of them. Seeing this, Yuan Feng shouted, "You break the formation, I'll handle this lightning." After speaking, Yuan Feng flew straight towards the heavenly lightning, protected by the 12th grade world destroying Black Lotus. For a moment, she actually managed to intercept the lightning head-on. Meanwhile, Qilin was not idle either. He directly called for his clansmen to charge towards the breach in the formation. The black, baleful energy continuously eroded the golden cosmic law. It soon corroded a large hole in it, but that was all it could do. The primal two polarities annihilation formation is primarily defensive. Even the divine spear could not advance a single inch. Thus, the war between the three clans reached a stalemate for a time. Neither side could do anything to the other. Seeing this, the members of the Qilin and Phoenix clans all began to form their own formations in midair. Then, the attacks began to fall relentlessly upon the primordial two forms life and death formation. The three clans were locked in a stalemate for a full 100 years. During this time, the attacks from the Qilin and Phoenix clans never ceased. But the primordial two forms life and death formation was simply too powerful. They couldn't break through it at all, and in these 100 years, the spiritual energy here in the East Sea has been nearly depleted. The primordial Phoenix and the first Qilin were also on the verge of collapse, but I was still the same as I was 100 years ago. After all, I'm just using the formation's power. When I get tired, I rest. But the first Qilin knew that if this continued, it would still be the Dragon Clan that suffered. Because if the fight dragged on like this, the spiritual energy around the Dragon Clan would get worse and worse. It would eventually become a land devoid of magic, even if the Dragon Clan managed to hold out in the end. The foundation of the Dragon Clan would be all but destroyed. I sighed inwardly, truly worthy of being a clan's founding ancestor. But in reality, the situation wasn't as bad as the first Qilin imagined. Because the spiritual energy inside the formation was still abundant. After all, the Great Formation secretly corresponds with the workings of yin and yang. But letting this drag on really wasn't a solution. Just then, I suddenly remembered the big boy the system had rewarded me with before. It seems this is the only way to achieve peace. Not only can it end the battle quickly, but it can also establish my might. Thinking of this, I spoke out in a clear voice, "Old Qilin. Damned Phoenix, since you two are so arrogant, then I'll let you have a taste of a nuclear bomb." Hearing this, the first Qilin and the primordial Phoenix were both stunned. What was a nuclear bomb? The two of them immediately went on guard. The primordial Phoenix even held the 12th grade world-ending Black Lotus above their heads. Meanwhile, the other members of the two clans were still circling in the sky. The next second, a large number of tribulation clouds suddenly gathered over the East Sea. At first, the primordial Phoenix didn't think much of it, because he had seen this kind of scene countless times. In response, I just sneered silently in my heart, because I had already taken out the Dushan Annihilation Divine Thunder. The next second, a terrifying bolt of purple-black lightning suddenly appeared. Its horrifying power actually tore space itself apart. This attack was stronger than any lightning strike from the Great Formation before. The target was precisely the members of the Phoenix and Qilin clans. Seeing this, the two ancestors reacted immediately. My target wasn't the two of them at all, but their clansmen. The roar of the thunder instantly drowned out the figures of all the Phoenix and Qilin clan members. The entire world turned a shade of purple-black, like a purgatory. The fragile bodies of the Phoenix and Qilin clans couldn't withstand it at all. The lightning tore them apart with ease. The lightning, filled with an aura of destruction, raged in all directions. Shattered flesh and blood fell from the sky, turning into a rain of blood. The severed limbs of the Phoenix and Qilin clans, mixed with bloody water, rained down continuously. the entire dragon palace was dyed red. After the power of the Dushan Annihilation Divine Thunder dissipated, I immediately began to repair the damaged formation. This nuclear explosion directly took away half of the two clans' members. I secretly lamented in my heart. Why didn't the system reward me with a few more nukes? Meanwhile, the dragons inside the formation were all dumbfounded. Am I seeing things? The Phoenix and Qilin clans are actually gone? The first Qilin, however, was staring at me with fire in his eyes. He knew this catastrophe must have been my doing. After today, the name Ao Zan will replace Ancestral Dragon as number 1 on his kill list. But now, both clans had lost their ability to fight. The surviving Qilins and Phoenixes all had vacant eyes. The two ancestors didn't hesitate. They immediately took their clan members and fled the East Sea at the speed of light. As soon as the two clans left, I activated the formation's power again to reverse the heavens and earth, turning the laws of spiritual energy into seawater. I used this to repair the East Sea. After finishing all this, I was about to return to my hall. But I saw that the dragons in the Dragon Palace all had dazed expressions. Seeing this, an idea came to my mind. Then I raised my arm and shouted, "We have won! My dragon clan has won!" After a moment of silence, cheers erupted instantly. The entire dragon clan was thrown into a frenzy of celebration. His Highness Zan is incomparably brave. His Highness Zan is divine. The cheers continued for a long time before they faded. Amidst the cheering, I returned to the Great Hall. The few elders who had doubted me before were now silent. Only Ao Quan, with a face full of disdain, retorted, "Just some brat, relying on the formation left by the ancestral dragon. He really thinks he's somebody special." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire hall fell into a dead silence. Everyone looked at Ao Quan as if he were an idiot. A few clan elders who shared Ao Quan's thoughts didn't speak, but their expressions made their stance clear. In response, I simply spoke with a look of disdain. "Ao Quan, I gave you a chance. You didn't step up to protect the dragon clan. Now I have dealt with the foreign enemy. What more do you want?" Hearing this, Ao Quan sneered. "Aren't you just relying on the formation left by the ancestral dragon? If it weren't for your status as the direct heir, I, Ao Quan, would be the one leading the dragon clan now." At that moment, another elder asked with a pleasant expression, "Ah, Ao Zan, the ancestral dragon left you such a powerful formation. Why didn't you tell us about it from the beginning?" As soon as he finished, another elder jumped out. "The ancestral dragon left a formation to protect the dragon clan. And you dared not to tell us. What were you planning by hiding it for yourself?" Both of them were from my uncle's generation. Now, one was playing good cop, and the other, bad cop. They simply wanted control of the great array of two forms in annihilation. Just then, a young dragon roared from a corner. "Elders, what are you trying to do?" It was His Highness who protected the dragon clan. Being in the corner meant his status was very low. But he actually dared to confront the clan elders. In the next second, a muffled groan was heard. The young dragon spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then, another clan elder stood up. "You have the nerve to say that? If Ao Zan hadn't kept the formation to himself, we could have wiped out the entire Phoenix and Qilin clans. It was these people before the battle, and it's these same people after we've won." I was getting really tired of this. Just then, the system's voice sounded in my mind. Detecting that the host is in a bad mood, 4 options are now available. Option 1. You decide to kill them to establish your authority. Reward: Dragon's Might and Bloodline Enhancement. Option 2. You decide to ignore them. Reward: Cultivation Level Enhancement and Bloodline Enhancement. Option 3. You decide to imprison them. Reward: the Dojo Heavenly Prison. Option 4. You decide to imprison them and find beautiful women, to have them act as breeding studs to solve the dragon clan's population problem. Reward: the Dojo Heavenly Prison and Bloodline Enhancement. After reading the options, I let out a strange laugh. I never expected the system to be so thoughtful. It actually helped me solve so many problems in one go. Seeing this, the clan elders panicked inwardly. Why is this kid's laugh so twisted? Why do I feel a strange ache in my lower back? At this point, I spoke with a blank expression, "Ao Quan. Before, I had no merits for the dragon clan, so fine. But today, I saved the clan from dire straits. Yet you still refuse to see the reality of the situation." As I spoke, I unleashed the power of my bloodline. "Since you seem to want to die, then I don't mind obliging you." The pressure of my bloodline fell upon Ao Quan and the others, forcing them to their knees on the ground. Then, I narrowed my eyes and said, "Someone, escort the clan uncles out. And lock them in the great dungeon." As soon as the words left my mouth, everyone present lowered their heads in agreement. Not a single person objected. It's because they couldn't stand those old geezers either. Originally, Ao Quan was about to curse me out. but he was knocked unconscious with a single slap. After they were taken away, everyone spoke in unison, "Your Highness, what are your other commands?" "The ancestral dragon gone, we obey only you, Your Highness." I thought to myself, I really have to thank the people of those two clans. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to win over the hearts of the entire dragon clan. Thinking this, I drew upon the power of the formation, enveloping myself in it to announce to the entire primordial world. I, Ao Zan, the current patriarch of the dragon clan, declare that the dragon clan withdraws from the war of the three clans. The Phoenix clan and the Qilin clan attacked the dragon clan and were punished by the heavenly Tao with the descent of world-ending divine lightning. If anyone dares to offend the dragon clan again, let those two clans be a warning. The resonant voice made the faces of all the major powers change. On Mount Yujing, Hongjun had been watching the East Sea. He had originally thought that the combined forces of the Phoenix and Qilin clans would annihilate the entire dragon clan. But he never expected that Luo Hu would even lend him the god-slaying spear and the 12-petal world-ending Black Lotus. Yet, the two clans ended up on the verge of extinction instead. The most crucial part was that bolt of lightning. Even Hongjun couldn't divine its origin. Could it really have been the punishment of the heavenly Tao? Meanwhile, demon ancestor Luo Hu was also completely shocked. His plan had failed again. How is that possible? How could the dragon clan possess such power? Why didn't I know the dragon clan was hiding a formation like this? The more Luo Hu thought about it, the angrier he became. Now, he was going to pay special attention to the Phoenix and Qilin clans. At the same time, he accelerated the refinement of the 4 immortal slaying swords. The situation for the Phoenix and Qilin clans was similar. After the two clan ancestors returned with their surviving members, they also immediately announced their clan's seclusion. Although they didn't declare their withdrawal from the war like the Dragon clan, having been utterly crushed, they had no other choice. And just as undercurrents were surging throughout the primordial world, I made a jaw-dropping decision. I ordered the entire Dragon clan to search the whole primordial world for beautiful women. And they were to do so for 1,000 years straight. They also had to find plenty of medicinal herbs and tonics. After all, this was for my dearest, beloved uncles. After handling the Dragon clan's affairs, then went back to the secret chamber to cultivate. In cultivation, time has no meaning. By the time I awoke from my cultivation, several thousand years had already passed. A young dragon outside had been waiting for a while. It was he who woke me. Upon seeing me, he bowed respectfully. It was then that I realized I still lacked personal guards. It seems I really need to find some loyal ones. The Dragon clan needs to form its own core team. I need to cultivate. I can't manage the Dragon clan forever, so I need someone to take charge while I'm in seclusion. And to carry out my orders. But this is something that must be done slowly. This young man before me is not bad. To be able to enter the main hall, his potential can't be weak. Thinking of this, I asked, "What is your name?" The dragon replied with a face full of reverence, "Your Highness." "My name is Long Ju." Hearing this, I sized him up carefully. Found that the power of his bloodline was very strong, and his current cultivation level was slightly higher than mine. Most importantly, Long Ju is loyal enough. Perhaps I should form a 9 Dragon Guard in the future. Just then, Long Ju spoke, "Your Highness. The beautiful women you requested have been found." My eyes instantly lit up. "My dear uncles, here I come." Soon, I saw those stunningly beautiful women. Even I was shocked because there were simply too many. And every single one was a stunning beauty. Then, I brought these beautiful women to the sky prison. They didn't resist. It seems someone had already informed them. The moment I stepped inside, I heard Ao Quan curse, "You insolent brat. Have you no respect for your uncles? How dare you lock us up? Let us out of here." In response, I just scratched my ear, pretending not to hear. After all, I had good news to share with them today. When Ao Quan saw the beauties behind me, he couldn't help but gulp. "Ao Zan, what on earth are you planning to do?" Hearing his words, I just smiled faintly. "Uncles, after all these years of conflict, the Dragon clan's losses have been far too great. We're in dire need of a large infusion of new blood. You wanted my position, didn't you? Well, I'm giving you a chance. If you help the Dragon clan produce 100,000 or 80,000 children, you'll be performing a great service." Listening from behind, Long Ju's mouth twitched. 100,000 or 80,000. This is going to be the death of Ao Quan. After leaving the sky prison, I wondered whether I should send some beauties to my old man, too. After all, he is the ancestral dragon. Any children he sired would surely be extraordinary. But after giving it some thought, I decided against it. It's already difficult for the Dragon clan to reproduce, let alone the fact that the ancestral dragon is no longer young. After assigning the beauties, I was ready to return to my secluded cultivation. But before entering seclusion, I instructed Long Ju to do one more thing. In the blink of an eye, thousands of years went by. This time, however, I awoke on my own because I was about to have a breakthrough. I was now about to formally enter the late stage of the Golden Immortal Realm. Just then, Long Ju walked into the secret chamber. "Your Highness, the matter you entrusted to me has been taken care of." Upon hearing this, a golden light flashed in my eyes, because my 9 Dragon Guard had been fully established. Next, Long Ju told me that the other 8 members of the 9 Dragon Guard were the commanders of the elite units from the ancestral dragons era. Because I had saved the Dragon Clan, these battle-loving dragons had wholeheartedly submitted to me. It's safe to say these 8 individuals are my most loyal followers. Moreover, that clever rascal Long Ju had thrown any untrustworthy dragons into the sky prison. And each dragon was kept there for at least 2 months. After he finished speaking, Long Ju told me that a secret realm had recently appeared in the primordial world that would be of great benefit to those at the Golden Immortal Realm. Before he could even finish speaking, I flat out refused the invitation to the secret realm. Are you kidding? A secret realm is the kind of place where a protagonist is most likely to pop up. There's no way I'm going there. Long Ju's lips twitched. He then told me that a minor race wanted to form an alliance with the Dragon Clan. Would you like to go out to meet them? I still refused. You all can handle the discussions. I don't need to go out. I can handle any matter within the Dragon Clan, but leaving our territory, even by a single step, is something I cannot do. The primordial world outside is a mess right now. I barely managed to lead the Dragon Clan out of the great calamity as it is. And you're all thinking of sending me right into the heart of another calamity? That's absolutely out of the question. So I just said it plainly, if it has anything to do with leaving the Dragon Clan, don't even tell me about it. I won't accept any of them. However, Long Ju's constant talk of going out did remind me of something else. Right now, our Dragon Clan is resting and recuperating. Doesn't that mean this is also a time for the other 2 clans to recover? Even though I don't want to leave, I also don't want to just sit back and watch my enemies have it easy. So, I need to come up with a plan. Just then, the system spoke, detecting a choice for the system to make. So, I was given 4 choices. Choice 1. Sit back and ignore them. Reward. Bloodline enhancement. Choice 2. Ambush them while they are recuperating. Reward. Increased cultivation level. Choice 3. Sow discord between the 2 clans and make them suspicious of each other. Reward. Ancient Spirit Ginseng. Choice 4. Send treasures to both clans to try and repair the relationship. Reward. A temporary friendship with both clans. I didn't expect to trigger the options at a time like this. Without hesitation, I chose option 3. The system's choices gave me an idea. Then, I spoke. Long Ju, go to the treasury and select some treasures. In 3 days, you will go to the Phoenix Clan to deliver them. Just say that the Dragon Clan wishes to resolve the feud with the Phoenix Clan. The undying volcano in the far south of the primordial realm. Yuan Feng sat on the Phoenix throne, deep in thought. For the past several hundred years, the scenes from the battle with the Dragon Clan often replayed in his mind. What was the deal with that final bolt of lightning? Could it really be as that young brat said? Was it the punishment of the heavenly Tao? At this thought, furious flames immediately ignited in Yuan Feng's eyes. It's all because of that lightning that my Phoenix Clan suffered such heavy casualties. Otherwise, the position of hegemon in this primordial realm would surely be ours, a guard said indignantly. I heard the Dragon Clan sent an envoy today. I can tell they're up to no good. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Ju walked into the Great Hall with gifts. Long Ju of the Dragon Clan pays his respects to Yuan Feng. Seeing this, Yuan Feng's face turned grim as he said, "Did that little whelp send you here to show off his power?" Now, whenever he saw a member of the Dragon Clan, he couldn't resist the urge to slap them to death. At that moment, other members of the Phoenix Clan in the hall spoke up. Ancestor. It's obvious the Dragon Clan sent someone here with ill intentions. Just kill him and be done with it. After thinking for a moment, Yuan Feng dismissed the idea. After all, you don't kill the envoy during a conflict. Let's hear what this kid has to say for himself. Surrounded by killing intent, Long Ju wasn't flustered at all. Instead, he let out a relaxed smile. This was because he had brought the Dragon Clan's ultimate protective treasure with him. Then, with a serious expression, he spoke. I have come on behalf of His Highness, with some humble gifts. I hope to resolve the hatred between our 2 clans. As soon as these words were spoken, the Great Hall fell silent. Yuan Feng even wondered if he had misheard. That Ao Zhan actually took the initiative to send him gifts? After a moment of silence, the hall instantly erupted. Every member of the Phoenix Clan's eyes turned red. We will never accept the Dragon Clan's goodwill. There was a Phoenix clan member who suggested accepting the treasures. The moment he spoke, he was targeted by a wave of killing intent and ultimately took back his words. Long Ju took in the situation in the hall, his expression showing neither joy nor sorrow. Yuan Feng had no intention of accepting these treasures. Just as he was about to refuse, he remembered that terrifying bolt of lightning from the Dragon Clan. If he didn't accept these treasures, would the ancestral dragon lead the Dragon Clan's elites to storm this place and completely wipe the Phoenix Clan from the Three Realms? So, he hesitated. Just then, a confidant sent him a telepathic message, "Ancestor. Why not just accept them? We would only be accepting the treasures and reconciling on the surface. There are no strings attached, are there?" Hearing this, Yuan Feng's eyes lit up. That's right, he could accept these treasures and use them to restore the Phoenix Clan's strength. Once our strength has recovered, we can just attack the Dragon Clan. After thinking it through, Yuan Feng said with a grin, "I'll accept these items. You may go now." Upon hearing this, Long Ju's smile grew even wider. He then presented the treasures without hesitation. After leaving the Phoenix Clan's territory, Long Ju flew straight back to the abyss of the East Sea without stopping. Then, he found me and recounted everything that had happened, down to the last detail. After listening to his report, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Excellent, as long as he accepted them. The next step is to drive a wedge between the two clans. During that great war, Qilin was wounded, while Yuan Feng, thanks to the protection of the 12th grade world-annihilating Black Lotus, was left completely unharmed. I refuse to believe that Qilin doesn't harbor some resentment over that. And now, with the Phoenix Clan accepting my gifts, there's no way the Qilin clan will be able to swallow this insult. Then I began to speak, "Long Ju, there is one more task I need you to handle. I want you to." As Long Ju listened, a cunning glint flashed in his eyes, and his gaze towards me filled with utter reverence. "Your Highness, this plan of yours is simply diabolical. This subordinate will get it done right away." With that, Long Ju departed from the Dragon Palace. As for me, I just stood there, smiling silently. The task I had given Long Ju was nothing else but to spread a rumor. I want the story of the Phoenix Clan accepting the Dragon Clan's treasures to spread across the entire primordial realm, and I even added a little extra spice to the tale. Rumors only grow more and more absurd as they circulate. The very next day, the news that the Phoenix Clan had accepted treasures from the Dragon Clan had already spread across the entire primordial realm. Long Ju, together with the rest of the 9 Dragon Guard, utilized every connection at their disposal. In the short span of a single day, they managed to disseminate the message far and wide. Few wood sprites gathered, chatting amongst themselves. "Hey, have you guys heard the latest inside story about the war between the 3 clans? It looked like the Dragon Clan was fighting the other 2 clans all by themselves, but actually, the Dragons and the Phoenixes teamed up to screw over the Qilin clan. Haven't you noticed? After that battle, the Phoenix Patriarch was perfectly fine. Only Qilin was seriously injured. And what about the ancestral dragon, who was nowhere to be seen? He was actually off protecting the Phoenix clan from the divine lightning." This story quickly reached the ears of Qilin. Upon hearing this, his face instantly darkened like charcoal, and the other Qilin were each more furious than the last. "Patriarch, I've also heard the news. The Phoenix clan has accepted treasures from the Dragon Clan. Yuan Feng, you old scoundrel, you are absolutely shameless." Twin flames of fury burned in Qilin's eyes. He was incandescent with rage. The entire great hall of the Qilin clan trembled unceasingly under the weight of his oppressive aura. The aura of a great Luo powerhouse erupted uncontrollably, soaring into the heavens. On the 3rd day the rumor spread. The Qilin clan immediately began to rally its forces, once again assembling an army. But all of this was conducted in secret. On the 5th day the rumor spread. By now, even the slow-witted Phoenix clan had realized something was amiss. But it was already too late, because Qilin had already led the great Qilin army to the foot of the undead volcano. In that instant, conflict between the 2 clans erupted once more. Yuan Feng was in a state of complete and utter disbelief. "Qilin, have you gone mad? Both of our clans have been severely weakened. If we continue to fight, we'll only be letting someone else reap the benefits." Even as he spoke, phoenixes behind him began to rapidly assemble their ranks for battle. Seeing this only enraged Qilin further. "Me, mad? You old phoenix, how dare you say such a thing? You conspired with the Dragon Clan to betray me. I have come here today to demand an explanation. How could Yuan Feng not understand by now?" Qilin had fallen for the rumors. "Those are all rumors. My Phoenix clan has never done any of those things." But he knew in his heart that this was going to be trouble, because the treasure the Dragon Clan gave him was still being kept within the Phoenix clan. Upon hearing this, the first Qilin crossed his arms and said, "Since it's just a rumor, do you dare let me search your clan's territory? And what will you say if I find something from the Dragon Clan?" Hearing this, Yuan Feng frowned. "That's impossible. Our two clans have already killed so many from the Dragon Clan. We've already confiscated plenty of their treasures. How could you possibly tell the difference?" The first Qilin flew into a rage. "You're obviously hiding something. If you really aren't colluding with the dragons, why are you so afraid to let me search?" Yuan Feng was at his breaking point. "Just listen to my explanation. Our Phoenix clan suffered heavy losses in the battle 100 years ago. If I were really in league with the dragons, I wouldn't have sacrificed so many of my own people, would I?" But it was obvious this brute, the first Qilin, wasn't listening anymore. He actually drew his divine spear and pointed it at Yuan Feng. Seeing this, Yuan Feng was so enraged he unleashed his true fire as well. Summoning the 12th grade world annihilating Black Lotus, the three factions fought for 3 days and 3 nights, but none could gain the upper hand, and news of this incident spread throughout the 3 realms. The Qilin clan and the Phoenix clan are actually at war. This only served to confirm the rumors. After I heard the news, I dispatched Dragon 9 with 3,000 elite soldiers straight to the Undying Volcano to reinforce the Phoenix clan. On the 9th day after the rumors began to spread, the Dragon clan reinforcements arrived. From a great distance, Dragon 9 could see the giant apparitions of a Qilin and a Phoenix. So he immediately shouted, "Senior Yuan Feng, our reinforcements have arrived. Mobilize your troops at once, and we'll surround the Qilin clan together. We'll wipe them all out. Once the Qilin clan is removed from existence, my Dragon clan will retreat into seclusion, and this world will be yours, the Phoenix clans, for the taking." Hearing this, Yuan Feng was so furious he coughed up blood. He had tried to be clever, but it had all backfired on him. And when these words reached the first Qilin's ears, it was like adding fuel to the fire. "Yuan Feng, after all this, what more do you have to say?" Enraged first Qilin's assault grew even more ferocious. The elite Qilin soldiers he'd brought with him immediately clashed with the Phoenix clan. Seeing no other way out, Yuan Feng also unleashed his true fire. The battle between them was so intense it shook the heavens and the earth. But still, neither could overpower the other. In the end, they fought for a solid month. The first Qilin's anger had mostly subsided, and seeing that he could not conquer the Phoenix clan, he retreated with his clan, relying on the power of the 12th grade world annihilating Black Lotus. Yuan Feng, victorious by default, wanted to vent his fury on the Dragon clan, only to find they had already made a swift retreat. Not a trace of them remained. Yuan Feng gritted his teeth and spat, "Dragon clan, just you wait." Back with his clan, the moment Dragon 9 entered the main hall, he saw me sitting on the main throne. I couldn't have been more pleased. The moment the Phoenix and Qilin clans started fighting, the system had already notified me. Mission complete. I immediately took out the Shanshan Spirit Ginseng and planted it right outside my seclusion chamber. My cultivation speed has now increased tenfold. At this rate, I'll only need 10 years to break through to the late stage of the Golden Immortal Realm. At this pace, it won't be just a dream to have Hongjun under my foot and Rahu under my fist. And after Dragon 9 brought back the news, everyone else was in complete awe of me. The Qilin and Phoenix clans had already suffered a major blow, and after a battle like that, it will probably take them 1,000 years to recover. We just have to wait for the ancestral dragon to come out of seclusion, and our Dragon clan will become the rulers of the primordial world. I could only laugh to myself when I heard that. It's far too early to be talking about being rulers. This is only the first phase of the Great Tribulation. After the 3 clans have left the stage of history, great war between Hongjun and Rahu will begin. And after that battle, the sages will emerge. A Deluo is no longer a top-tier power in the primordial world. When I think about Hongjun distributing treasures at the treasure distributing cliff, I get a headache. What if Hongjun targets the Dragon clan? Just then, the system's voice sounded again, detecting a crisis faced by the host. Therefore, 4 options are provided. Option 1. Subdue the 3 pure ones and make them your subordinates. Reward: the enmity of the heavenly Tao. Option 2. Subdue Nuwa and make her your subordinate. Reward: the title, divinely brave and fearless. Your bloodline will be upgraded, and you will obtain the innate Tao body. Option 3. Subdue Kunpeng and make him your subordinate. Reward: the Kunpeng arts. You will possess Kunpeng's transformation abilities and yin-yang techniques. Option 4. Subdue Kong Xan and make him your subordinate. Reward: 1 Fusong tree. Hearing this, I immediately ignored the first 3 options. The 3 pure ones in Nuwa are all future sages. Trying to subdue them is no different from seeking death. And although Kunpeng isn't a sage, he's a future quasi-saint and, more importantly, the founding teacher of the demon clan. So, my only choice is Kong Xan. And Kong Xan is the child of Yuan Feng, the primordial phoenix. If I can recruit him, things will get very interesting. Tens of thousands of miles east of the Phoenix clan's domain, there's a mountain peak surrounded by the sea on all four sides. The spiritual energy here is weak. It's not at all a place an immortal would choose. I stood on the high mountain and frowned. Logically, since Kong Xan is also a child of Yuan Feng, his treatment shouldn't be this poor, right? This place is very far from the Undying Volcano. Even ordinary members of the Phoenix clan can live in the Undying Volcano, let alone a child of Yuan Feng. It seems there's a hidden story here. As I was thinking, I turned my head to look at Long Ju beside me. My expression one of great dissatisfaction. That's because before we came here, I had gifted Long Ju a full set of innate spirit treasures. After all, the guard of the dignified lord of the Dragon Clan can't look too shabby. But I didn't expect this guy to be so honest. He actually hid the spirit treasures after receiving them. He doesn't even dare to wear them. After Long Ju saw my dissatisfied expression, he immediately knelt on one knee on the ground. Your Highness, this subordinate is truly not used to wearing those things. It is definitely not because I have any issue with your Highness. Seeing this, I waved my hand and then started walking up the mountain. After reaching the mountaintop, I frowned again, because this was not at all the treatment a son of Yuan Feng should receive. The mountaintop was covered in artificially planted bamboo. Although every stalk was a spiritual plant, they were all very ordinary. The spiritual energy they provided was also very limited, and in the bamboo forest, there was a bamboo hut. It looked very simple and crude. This was most likely Kong Xan's residence. Thought to myself, could it be that he has a conflict with the Phoenix clan? If that's really the case, then I have a real chance of recruiting Kong Xan. In the primordial world of my memories, there was no news of Kong Xan until after the Great Calamity. It's really hard to say what he's up to right now. Just as I was thinking, a young man walked out of the bamboo hut. Who are you two? What business do you have here? Kong Xan had been cultivating but sensed two unfamiliar auras. He originally thought it was more people from the Phoenix clan, but unexpectedly, they were two strangers. But regardless, Kong Xan was very annoyed at having his cultivation disturbed. If you're lost, then hurry up and get out of here. Hearing this, Long Ju immediately became enraged. How dare you speak to my highness like that? Show some respect. After saying that, before Kong Xan could react, Long Ju was about to strike. In the blink of an eye, dark clouds gathered over the mountaintop. It looked like a torrential downpour was imminent, but suddenly a wave of heat swept through. The dark clouds were instantly scattered. Then, Kong Xan angrily demanded, "This is the territory of my Phoenix clan. What are you dragons doing here?" Then, a tyrannical aura erupted from him, a level of cultivation that was actually on par with Long Ju's. Seeing this, my eyes lit up. It seemed my choice was the right one after all. You have to understand, the spiritual energy on this mountain is very thin. For Kong Xan to have this kind of power is quite impressive indeed. With that in mind, I spoke up. We meet for the first time. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the current acting leader of the Dragon Clan, and also, your future master. The moment I finished speaking, I noticed Kong Xan was looking at me like I was a complete idiot. Kong Xan was clearly skeptical. You, the acting leader of the Dragon Clan? You think you can subdue me with your golden immortal level of cultivation? I have no idea where you get such confidence. Hearing this, Long Ju flew into a rage. How dare you? His Highness is the recognized acting leader of our Dragon Clan. For him to want you is an honor. This, Kong Xan's expression finally shifted. But as the son of the original Phoenix, he had his own pride. So he was about to refuse me on the spot. Seeing this, I raised a hand to cut him off. Don't be so quick to refuse. If you were to follow me, you'll have all the cultivation resources you could ever need. But to my surprise, Kong Xan just scoffed. Look at the over 1,000 spirit bamboos on my immortal mountain. Why would I possibly need your paltry resources? In Kong Xan's eyes, this immortal mountain of his was already a prime environment. After all, he hasn't seen much of the world since he began his training. I chuckled to myself. Then, with a casual wave of my hand, countless spiritual plants instantly dropped to the ground. Then, looking at Kong Xan with a smirk, I asked, "Are these 10,000-year-old spiritual plants enough for your training?" Kong Xan swallowed unconsciously, to think this dragon had so many treasures in his possession. But after a moment's thought, Kong Xan shook his head without hesitation. You think you can win me over with just this? You underestimate me, Kong Xan. With that, he forced himself to look away from the pile of spiritual plants. You should just go home. I will never agree to this. I shook my head helplessly. That's what you say, but could you at least try to hide the fact that you're drooling? Still, when it comes to throwing money at a problem, I don't feel the slightest bit of pain. After all, the fortune left behind by the ancestor dragon is quite substantial. So I waved my hand again. 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs poured from my sleeve as if they were worthless. Soon, they formed a great mountain of herbs, and a rich spiritual energy washed over us. Kong Xan was completely stunned. In all his long life, he had never seen so many spiritual herbs. Kong Xan thought to himself, if I had all these, my training speed could increase at least tenfold. Then my father might finally look on me with pride. At the thought of his father, Kong Xan's eyes became resolute once more. I can't throw in my lot with the Dragon Clan for a mere pile of herbs. The original Phoenix is my own father. At this thought, Kong Xan actually turned his back, choosing not to look at the herbs. But a trail of drool shamefully escaped the corner of his mouth. Seeing this, I regretfully took back the herbs. As expected of a future great power of the primordial era, such strength of character is truly admirable. But then, Kong Xan added, it's not impossible for me to submit to you, but you'll have to up the offer. Hearing that, I almost died laughing. Some great power you are. Turns out you're just for the right price, kind of ascetic. I let out a light chuckle and said, in addition to these spiritual medicines, I can give you 10 innate spiritual treasures. Hearing this, Kong Xan shouted without a moment's hesitation, Daddy. He bowed to me, and a series of question marks appeared above both Long Ju's and my heads. What is he doing? Kong Xan was stunned too. He couldn't believe he'd actually said his inner thoughts out loud, but he quickly brushed off the embarrassment. After all, that was 10 innate spiritual treasures. You have to understand, he'd never even seen a postnatal spiritual treasure before. But what he didn't know was that I was actually going to offer him more. I only said 10 because it rolled off the tongue. But a real man never goes back on his word. Since the words have been spoken, I, Kong Xan, will honor them. Hearing that, I gave him a strange look and said, so, is it okay if I'm not your father? From now on, you will call me master, Kong Xan said, his expression unnatural. Understood, master, but I didn't think much of it. After a while, he would get used to it eventually. Then the system informed me that the mission was complete. The Fusong tree has been delivered. Hearing that, I immediately checked my system inventory. I found that the Fusong tree the system gave me was actually just a sapling, and I would have to grow it myself. But that was no big deal. You see, in the primordial world, the Fusong tree is a very special existence. It's the place where the sun rises, and also where the three-legged golden crow rests. And the three-legged golden crow has a mother, the sun goddess, the great Shihei. Kong Xan stared at me, stunned. He hadn't expected me to be so overjoyed. For the first time, he felt what it was like to be valued by someone. As a member of the Phoenix clan, he never thought he would be so highly regarded by a dragon. Thinking of this, Kong Xan's heart was filled with immense gratitude. At that moment, I also snapped out of my daze. But I quickly thought of another problem. System, what if Kong Xan betrays me in the future? The system told me not to worry. Because the moment Kong Xan decided to submit, the system had already bound him with a contract. Hearing that finally put my mind at ease. Then, I left with Long Ju and Kong Xan. But I didn't go back to the Dragon Clan right away. Instead, I took Kong Xan to the Undying Volcano. A giant peacock soared ostentatiously across the sky, catching the eye of every member of the Phoenix clan. Kong Xan looked down on them and yelled, listen up, you paupers of the Phoenix clan. Grandpa's leaving now, try not to miss me too much, okay? Then, with a flap of his wings, he kicked up a violent gust of wind that drove the flames of the Undying Volcano back toward the mountain. The members of the Phoenix clan extinguished the flames, their faces dark. It was then that they recognized him. He was the heir of Yuan Feng. Then, a sharp-eyed clan member shouted, look, that's Ao Zhan of the Dragon Clan on his back. This single sentence instantly ignited everyone's fury. For the great heir of Yuan Feng to do something like this, it's an outrageous, shameless act that angers both gods and men. The Phoenix clan was filled with righteous indignation, dying to shoot that peacock down from the sky. But they didn't dare to. The Phoenix clan, in its current state, couldn't afford to offend anyone. They had just suffered a defeat at the hands of the dragons and had also made enemies of the Qilin clan. Even if they managed to capture Ao Zhan, what could they possibly do? Besides, the ancestral dragon is still alive. From my high perch on Kong Xan's back, I thought to myself, I just love watching you all wanting to kill me. But being completely powerless to do a thing about it. Then, I said to Kong Xan, let's go, my dear little phoenix. Let's return to the Dragon Clan together. However, the news of Yuan Feng's heir becoming a mount for a dragon spread throughout the entire primordial world in just 2 short days. At first, the first Qilin had been skeptical. The previous incident was instigated by the Dragon clan, but now there's solid proof. The Dragon and Phoenix clans have actually allied. Otherwise, why would Yuan Feng's offspring be Ao Zan's mount? And just as I was on my way back to the Dragon clan, I suddenly sensed the aura of Rahu. I didn't dare delay and quickly urged Kong Xan to return to the Dragon clan. After returning to the Dragon Palace, I went to the courtyard where I meditate in seclusion. I carefully planted the Fusong tree. The Fusong tree is a divine tree. It has a tremendous attraction for birds, even I could feel a slight pull. Moreover, as a divine tree, it has the ability to connect all realms. But I'm still not sure what connecting all realms means. As I was pondering this, I noticed the Fusong tree suddenly droop. When I looked up, my face instantly darkened. It turned out that in my moment of distraction, Kong Xan had actually climbed the tree. If he didn't know how to be careful, his size alone would have likely destroyed the Fusong tree. Completely exasperated, I said, "Get down from there right now. The Fusong tree hasn't fully grown yet. Don't crush it." Hearing this, Kong Xan hung his head and climbed down. Clearly, the Fusong tree's alert to him was immense. Then, Kong Xan asked, "Master, can I live in the Dragon Palace from now on?" Hearing this, I was stunned. You have to understand, although Kong Xan has submitted to me, he is, at the end of the day, a member of the Phoenix clan. And now he's willing to live in the Dragon Palace. It just goes to show how tempting the Fusong tree is. I thought about it for a moment and agreed. Bound by the system, Kong Xan is absolutely loyal. Having him in the Dragon Palace would also mean better protection for me. Seeing that I had agreed, Kong Xan was instantly overjoyed. Then, I asked the question that had been bothering me. "You are the son of Yuan Feng. So why do you live outside the undead volcano?" Hearing my words, Kong Xan's body clearly stiffened. After a moment of silence, he finally spoke. "Yuan Feng, he's a complete bastard. It turns out his mother didn't belong to the Phoenix clan. She was just one of Yuan Feng's handmaidens. Therefore, Kong Xan's bloodline was impure from birth, which earned him Yuan Feng's displeasure. And since he had plenty of other children, Yuan Feng simply kicked Kong Xan out of the Phoenix clan altogether." Hearing this, I pretended to be sympathetic, but inwardly, I was ecstatic. Because even though Kong Xan's bloodline isn't pure, his aptitude for cultivation is top tier. Thinking of this, a wicked idea immediately popped into my mind. "Kong Xan, don't you want to get some revenge on Yuan Feng?" Kong Xan said resentfully, "Master, of course I do. If I could actually beat Yuan Feng, I would have stormed the Phoenix clan long ago." I signaled for him to calm down, and then I slowly revealed my plan. Essentially, I wanted him to use his identity to cause some trouble for the Phoenix clan. To my surprise, when Kong Xan heard this, his eyes began to gleam. "Master, you don't have to say another word. That old Phoenix's private life is an absolute mess." The more Kong Xan spoke, the brighter his eyes shone. If I leak all of this, he'll be utterly humiliated. After hearing about Yuan Feng's exploits, the corners of my mouth curled up. "Since you can't control yourself, Yuan Feng, then don't blame me for being ruthless." Another 3 days passed. Stories about Yuan Feng spread throughout the entire primordial world. On an immortal mountain somewhere, few transformed creatures were discussing it. "Hey, have you heard? Yuan Feng actually likes to wear women's clothing. I can't even imagine what Yuan Feng, with his big and burly frame, would look like in a dress." On Yujing Mountain, when Hongjun heard the news, his cultivation almost went haywire from the shock. What the heck, Yuan Feng is into cross-dressing. Hiring all those maids was just a cover-up. Then, Kong Xan flew directly into the sky above the Qilin clan. "Everyone in the Qilin clan, I have a secret to tell you today. I hope you'll all help me get justice." The Qilins below were stunned when they heard this. "You, a traitor who defected to the Dragon clan, what are you doing here in our Qilin clan?" Kong Xan wagged his tail in the sky and said, "I'm no traitor. I left the darkness for the light because I couldn't stand Yuan Feng's evil deeds. That old geezer Yuan Feng is rotten to the core. He appeared to be recruiting many maids, but behind the scenes, he's actually..." Then, Kong Xan was invited into the Qilin palace by the first Qilin. Before long, the sound of the first Qilin's loud laughter could be heard. The first Qilin, who had been wronged by the Dragon and Phoenix clans, had been full of resentment, but now it all vanished. Meanwhile, at the immortal volcano, Yuan Feng had just come out of seclusion to see his clansmen with downcast faces. After learning what had happened, Yuan Feng's face turned green on the spot. He slammed his palm down, smashing the table in front of him to bits. When he learned it was his own son who had spread these rumors, Yuan Feng almost fainted. Because Kong Xan not only said Yuan Feng wore women's clothing, he also slyly implied that some of Yuan Feng's sons were actually fathered by someone else. Yuan Feng, who was already injured, spat out a mouthful of blood right after hearing this, and in the next second, he passed out. Meanwhile, back in the Dragon Palace, the system presented me with 3 choices again. Choice 1. Re-enter the Longhand Great Calamity and unite the primordial world. Reward: the attention of the Heavenly Dao and a set of Hongjun's loving pats. Choice 2. Do nothing, and lead the Dragon Clan to escape the Great Calamity. Reward: 1 urn for Zulong's ashes, and your cultivation level will be raised to the Grand Luo Golden Immortal Realm. Choice 3. Spread your wealth far and wide and perform many good deeds. Help Zulong cleanse his karma and shed his identity as a person destined for calamity. And be rewarded with the divine skill, the 6 paths of reincarnation sword technique. Hearing this, I chose option 3 without hesitation. The first one is out of the question. Participating in the Longhand Great Calamity is a one-way ticket to death. And choice 2 is even worse. Zulong is bound to get out sooner or later. When that happens, he'll definitely try to kill me, his unfilial son. So, choice 3 is the most suitable for me. Then, the 6 paths of reincarnation technique appeared in my mind. After reading it, my eyes lit up. Because each of the 6 sword styles has a unique effect. The first style allows you to control the cycle of the 4 seasons. But I don't have a suitable weapon right now, so I have to find a way to get one. I wasn't worried about this at all, because the Dragon Clan is the #1 wealthiest clan. Forget supreme grade innate spirit treasures, they should even have a few innate cardinal treasures. So I immediately had Long Ju take me to the Dragon Clan's treasury. But what I didn't expect was that the treasury was located right below my seclusion chamber. On second thought, it makes sense. A money grubber like Zulong would definitely want to keep the treasury close to feel secure. At that moment, Long Ju spoke up. It's normal that your highness doesn't know. Because Zulong was afraid you'd squander the family fortune, so he never told you. Hearing this, black lines instantly appeared on my forehead, so everyone knew, except for me, his own son, who was completely in the dark. This is infuriating. After that, Long Ju told me that this secret chamber is divided into 3 levels. The really good stuff is hidden on the 3rd level, but you need Zulong's blood to get in. Soon, he brought me to the 1st level, and I was completely dumbfounded. Although the chamber wasn't very big, the shelves were piled high with storage-type magic treasures. There were even a lot of things just thrown on the floor. I couldn't help but gulp. No wonder the ancestor dragon wouldn't tell me where the treasury was. Who could possibly resist this? I even got the feeling that the 1st floor alone could buy out the entire Phoenix clan. Just then, Long Ju explained with a wry smile, "Your Highness. The snacks you usually eat are from this 1st floor." Then, he led me to the 2nd floor. This place was similar to the 1st floor, but the storage artifacts were of a higher grade. As soon as I entered, I could clearly feel the presence of a magical formation. And a high-level one at that. I was just wondering before, why the Dragon Clan didn't have any formations. Turns out the ancestor dragon used them all here in the treasury. That old dragon really is a miser. After guiding me to the spot, Long Ju excused himself and left. As for the 3rd floor, since I don't have the ancestor dragon's blood, I can't get in yet. I looked around for a moment, and decided to go into the Chaos Pearl to get some blood from my old man. For a filial son like me, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help, right? I grinned and teleported into the Chaos Pearl. Old dragon, I've come to see you. Time in the Chaos Pearl passes at the same rate as outside. The ancestor dragon has been in here for over 1,000 years. Hearing my voice, the ancestor dragon's enormous body instantly flew before me as he roared, "You insolent brat. Let me out of here now." The Chaos Pearl is in my hands, though. He can't get out without my permission. The ancestor dragon took a deep breath and tried to coax me, "Schwenner. What is it you want? Let me out, and I'll give you anything." I said, "Dad, don't get the wrong idea. Your son is the big boss of the Dragon Clan now. Who would dare disobey my command? You just rest easy here in the Chaos Pearl. Besides, when I run into an enemy I can't beat, I'll need you to buy me some time." The ancestor dragon was so furious he nearly passed out, his breath blasting out like a gale. I said, "Dad, I actually came here on official business this time. Don't you want to know what the Dragon Clan is like now?" With that, I leapt back. I used the Chaos Chi to conjure a light screen, which displayed the scene of me punishing Uncle Ao Quan and the others. After watching, the ancestor dragon roared in fury, "You insolent brat. You didn't even spare your own uncle. Then, he saw me keeping Ao Quan and the others as breeding stock. With a loud crash, the ancestor dragon's massive tail smashed the light screen to pieces. I said, "Dad, why get so angry? A son as filial as me is something the Phoenix and Qilin clans could only dream of. Under your leadership, all of my brothers died in battle. I'm the only one who cares about the clan's future, putting the continuation of our bloodline first." "How rare is that, huh?" The ancestor dragon's eyes were red with fury. He glared at me and said, "You really are some son. And what about the Phoenix clan? And the Qilin clan? Yuangfeng and the first Qilin are not to be trifled with." I just smiled and shrugged. As for the Phoenix clan, I had someone send over a huge pile of gifts. And just like that, our two clans made peace. Upon hearing this, all the ancestor dragon could picture was the dragon clan bowing and scraping. He was so furious his eyes looked like they would shoot fire. "You insolent brat, go to hell." With a deafening boom, his giant tail slammed down, but I vanished in an instant. I reappeared on the other side. Boom, boom, boom. The ancestor dragon attacked frantically. But he couldn't even touch me. I decided to add more fuel to the fire. I said, "You know all that stuff I took from you the other day? I gave it all to Kong Xan. You might not know who Kong Xan is. He's Yuangfeng's own son." The ancestor dragon was so enraged he was speechless, and a mouthful of blood sprayed from his lips. It stained a huge patch of the chaos space red. I actually managed to anger him into suffering internal injuries. With a wave of my hand, I collected the blood and appeared right in front of him. I even smugly shook the blood in my hand. "Father, I've been a bit short on cash recently, so I'll just help you manage the things in the Dragon Clan's treasury." After saying that, I left the Chaos Pearl. Ignoring the ancestral dragon's roars inside, I returned to the treasury with a smile. I held the blood in my hand up to the barrier, and just as I expected, a crack opened up. As I walked into the passage, luminous pearls lit up one by one. It was only then I could see clearly that the entire tunnel was made of jade. I followed the passage for a little while and pushed open a door. I finally entered the third level of the treasury. This place was even bigger than the first two floors. It was piled to the brim entirely with post-heaven spirit treasures. I specifically picked out spiritual herbs that could heal and improve my cultivation. Tossed them all into the Chaos Pearl. I just casually packed away 2 small mountains worth, and it wasn't even 1% full. Then, I walked forward. The treasury also had a 4th level. The 4th level was far more magnificent than the 3rd, looking like a grand, square hall. Not far off, there was a staircase leading to the 5th level. Then, out of curiosity, I pushed open the 3rd, a door on the north side of the level with records written on it. When I saw the scene inside, I froze instantly. I thought it would be a library, but I never expected it to be glowing stone tablets inscribed with the laws. Next, I walked through the door marked, Spirit Treasures. This hall was quite large as well. The floor was made of spirit jade, and there were paintings on the walls. Even the paintings were treasures. I'm impressed. With so many innate spirit treasures, why didn't you bring them with you to war? There were dozens of famous ones. The 8 Sceneries Palace lantern was providing light on the left, and on the right was the jade void glazed lantern. I also saw the green lotus treasure flag and Nua's red embroidered ball. The 4 symbols pagoda, and so on. So that's it, Hongjun distributing treasures was actually just him robbing the Dragon Clan. What a happy problem to have. I shook my head helplessly. I put all of these innate spirit treasures into the Chaos Pearl. Leaving them here wouldn't be nearly as safe as in my Chaos Pearl. I'm truly doing this for the good of the Dragon Clan. Why doesn't anyone understand me? Then I walked down the stairs to the 5th level. It was completely empty except for the glowing lines of a formation. That's the ancestral dragon seal. Ah, forget it. It's best to leave a way out so we can meet again on good terms. I won't take the ancestral dragon seal. Don't want that old guy coming out to fight me to the death. Meanwhile, inside the Chaos Pearl, the ancestral dragon was going crazy with rage. "You rebellious son, get out here. Put everything back. How dare you take the innate spirit treasures? What do you take me for? You unfilial son, and you want to give them to the Phoenix clan? You'll bankrupt the Dragon Clan sooner or later." After a long shout, the ancestral dragon fell silent. The great ancestor of the Dragon Clan was literally angered by me to the point of passing out. Just then, the system notification sounded again. The host is now the #1 rich kid of the primordial world. How can you not have a handmaiden by your side? Option 1. Recruit a goddess rated 9 out of 10 as a handmaiden. You can choose from Nuwa, the Queen Mother of the West, and Shihei. Reward: Qishao Sword. Option 2. An adult takes them all. Recruit all beauties rated 9 or above. A reward will be settled for each one you recruit. The reward is random. Option 3. Don't recruit handmaidens, recruit male attendants instead. Reward. Random. Gain the title, Primordial Loner. Gain the skill. 100% chance of being put in the friend zone. I had just returned to my new courtyard when the system triggered again. Good thing I opened the Dragon Clan's treasury. Otherwise, I would have missed out on another reward. I immediately chose option 1. I'm not interested in men. Option completed. New function unlocked. Can now detect the beauty score of any creature before you. I was stunned and asked for my score. The system replied, host's beauty score is 8.2. I then looked at Kong Xan, who was cultivating in the courtyard, and asked for his score. The system said, 7.4 points. I'm now more handsome than any celebrity from my past life. My looks improved even more after my bloodline was upgraded. But I didn't even reach a 9? Now I'm even more curious about a 9-point woman. Manhwa and the Queen Mother of the West should qualify. I wonder if the 3 Shao sisters would. It's rare for the system to give me an option. I'll go to the Taiyin Star and have a look. Coincidentally, the system rewarded me with the Fusong tree, so I'm not afraid she'll refuse. I walked over, woke up Kong Xan, and told him to come with me on a long trip. Shihei lives on the Taiyin Star, which is a bit far. Luckily, Kong Xan's speed is not slow. With his divine abilities empowering him, we arrived in just a few days. Landing on the Taiyin Star, I looked around. It was Kong Xan's first time seeing such a sight. He looked like he'd never seen anything like it. I stroked my chin and thought, now that we're on the Taiyin Star, how do we find Shihei? Kong Xan, who was beside me, volunteered. The next second, he took a deep breath and shouted, Goddess Shihei, my master has come to take you home. Soon, a cold, clear voice came from the distance. Where did this insolent fool come from? Causing such a ruckus on my Taiyin Star. When Shihei appeared in front of me, didn't need the system to tell me. I knew she was definitely a 9 or higher. Shihei walked closer. She recognized Kong Xan, the one who had just shouted, at a glance and immediately labeled him an insolent fool. Then she spoke, I wonder why you two have come all this way to find me? I came back to my senses. I checked with the system, and sure enough, she met the standard. Then I replied, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Ao Zan, the direct heir of the ancestral dragon, and the current lord of the Dragon Clan. Shihei gave a charming smile and said, I've heard of you. The Dragon Clan has been making quite a name for itself in the primordial world lately. However, isn't it a bit early to be calling yourself the lord of the Dragon Clan? Isn't the ancestral dragon still in seclusion? I couldn't be bothered to explain and instead said, the ancestral dragon isn't around right now. Is he? The entire treasury of the Dragon Clan is under my control now. Shihei said, then, young master, what business do you have with me? The great calamity has nothing to do with a humble woman like me. I got straight to the point and said, of course it's not about the great calamity. You see, for the magnificent lord of the Dragon Clan like myself to go out without even a handmaiden, how degrading is that? Therefore, I want to take you as my handmaiden. What do you think of that? Kong Xan secretly gave me a thumbs up from the side. The master is so bold, to dare say something so directly. If it were anyone else, Shihei would have ignored them long ago. But with looks like mine, what can you do? She actually didn't just turn her back and leave in a huff. She said, you must be joking, young master. Everyone knows the Dragon Clan recently took many beautiful women into its palace. Wasn't that your doing? I said, if you come back with me, you'll find out whether it was or not. You're different from them. By the way, I acquired a treasure the other day called the Fusong tree. I wonder if you might want it? With a wave of my hand, the Fusong tree appeared before us. Shihei was astonished. She never expected the divine Fusong tree to be in the hands of the Dragon Clan. In my hands, no less. My meaning was obvious. If she agreed to be my handmaiden, the tree would be hers. The Fusong tree can connect the 3 realms and convert spiritual energy. Cultivating under the tree can increase one's speed by 10 or even 100 times. Shihei thought to herself, being a handmaiden isn't the same as selling my body. She was about to refuse, but now she hesitated. Seeing her hesitation, I reached out and took out a light gauze scarf. If you agree, this silk is also yours. This was just like the one on Zaihi's sleeve cuff. The same kind of decorative light gauze that draped from it. The difference was, this one was a Shanshin spiritual treasure. Zaihi's eyes widened. He was casually giving away an innate spirit treasure. The extravagance of the Dragon Clan truly lives up to its reputation. She asked, still a bit in disbelief, if I was really giving it to her. I said, of course. Even if you refuse it, it's still yours. But as my maid, you won't be short of suitable innate spirit treasures. And you can have as many acquired supreme treasures as you want. I meant it when I said the Dragon Clan's treasury is all mine now. Kong Xan quietly added, "The master is so good to you. When he subdued me, he didn't give me a single innate spirit treasure, but he's giving one to you the moment you meet. That's how much he values you." Shihei was even more swayed. An innate spirit treasure on the first meeting. There will definitely be more later on, right? In all her years of cultivation, she'd never even had one innate spirit treasure. But then she thought again and shook her head, saying, "But we're in the middle of a great calamity. I don't want to get dragged into it because of the Dragon Clan. With my level of cultivation, I won't survive this great calamity." Kong Xan quickly chimed in to help. "What's there to be afraid of? The Dragon Clan has already withdrawn from the great calamity. If you become the master's maid, do you think you'll still be affected?" "But," Shihei said, "the Phoenix Clan and the Qilin Clan." Kong Xan grunted in dissatisfaction. "I am the biological son of the Yuan Feng. I'm here with the Dragon Clan, so what are you afraid of?" I smiled and spoke up. "All right, Kong Xan. Don't push her too hard. This sort of thing has to be voluntary. If you're worried, we can set a time limit. You can leave any time before the great calamity ends. And after the great calamity is over, I'll give you another chance to choose." Kong Xan's eyes went wide listening to this. He didn't dare to interrupt. Zaihi's eyes widened as well. She looked a little cute. She was just so surprised. These terms were too lenient. It was basically like she could just take the stuff and run. Shihei asked me if I was serious. I nodded and said, "Of course. However, if you agree, you cannot leave for the first 100 years. You can't just run off right after getting the items." Shihei thought that even not being able to leave for the first 100 years was very lenient. So she went on to ask, "Then what about the innate spirit treasure?" Hearing her ask this, I smiled. It seemed she was truly tempted. Then I said, "This innate spirit treasure is for you. In 100 years, I'll give you another one. If you're willing to continue being my maid, there will be more innate spirit treasures. Within these 100 years, the Fusong tree is yours. But if you leave, the tree must stay behind." Shihei was even more shocked after hearing this. Her heart completely swayed. She hurriedly said, "I agree." After saying that, her face turned slightly red. This was her first time being someone's maid. After composing herself, Shihei said there was another condition. She said I couldn't do anything too excessive to her. Otherwise, she would leave immediately. I raised an eyebrow. It's not like I was planning to do anything anyway. After all, a forced relationship is never a happy one. But I still teased her. "You can rest assured on that point, my little lady." The moment Shihei heard this title, her face instantly turned beet red. Seeing her like this, I chuckled and said, "From now on, just call me young master." Just then, a system prompt appeared. "Congratulations, host, for completing the option. Subdue the goddess Shihei. Obtain special reward. Divine sword Taichu." When I saw the description for Taichu, my eyes widened. The scene changes to the Dragon Palace, 1 year later. I was resting my head comfortably on Zaihi's lap. Zaihi's face was bright red. Sensation on her legs made her very uncomfortable. I was eating the grapes that Shihei had peeled. I opened my eyes and saw her small chin and pouting lips. So I asked her, "What's wrong? Is my little maid troubled by something?" Shihei shook her head in denial, saying her leg was just a bit sore from me resting on it for so long. I chuckled softly and placed my hand on her thigh, which startled her. Zaihi's face was flushed. She originally had a cold personality, but she couldn't stay cold in front of me at all. Just steadying myself. The Taichu divine sword needs to be nurtured. I sat up and beckoned with my hand, and a cyan longsword flew over from beneath the Fusong tree. When I got this Taichu sword a year ago, it gave me a real shock. The system said this is my companion spirit treasure. It's the soul-bound companion treasure for the me who transmigrated here. Its potential is incredibly high. Although it's only an innate spirit treasure right now, it feels very similar to the Chaos Orb. It might be an undeveloped Chaos Ultimate treasure, so I've spent the last year nurturing it. Moreover, my magical power can circulate automatically, constantly absorbing spiritual energy. I'm cultivating whether I'm eating, sleeping, or walking. I walked to the Fusong tree, holding Taichu. The innate spirit ginseng is also planted nearby. The spirit roots promote each other's growth, so the Fusong tree is growing very quickly. It's already 2 meters tall now. As the spring breeze blew, 3 flowers bloomed on the tree. I began to practice with my sword under the tree. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the 4 seasons cycled. Rain and snow fell as the scenery in the small courtyard changed. Shihei, who was watching from the side, scooped up a handful of snow, a strange look in her eyes. When I finished my sword practice, she finally spoke up, "Young Master, have you perfected your sword technique?" I replied joyfully, "That's right. I've finally grasped the basics of the 6 paths of reincarnation sword style." But right now, I can only manifest the changes of the 4 seasons. Life and death are still beyond me. Shihei asked curiously, I've never seen this sword style before. The Dragon Clan doesn't have it either. Did you create it yourself? I immediately denied it, saying, no, I have another master. At that moment, the system notification sounded again. The Dragon Clan has withdrawn from the Great Calamity, but it shouldn't just shut itself away. As a transmigrator, please make a choice. 1. Maintain the status quo and defend the Dragon Palace. Reward. Bloodline enhancement. 2. Start a great revolution in the Dragon Clan and overthrow the theory of bloodline supremacy. Reward. Revolutionary. Title. Reward. Bloodline annulment. Reward. Achievement. I overthrew myself. 3. Initiate the great development of the East Sea. The Dragon Clan guards the East Sea yet is unaware of the 3 immortal islands. Please find Punglai Immortal Island. Reward. Pioneer. Title. Reward. 9 Revolutions Mysterious Art. I'll skip the first option, the reward is too small. The second option is to reform and overthrow the theory of bloodline supremacy. Cursed in my head, stupid system. Right now, I'm the one with the strongest bloodline in the Dragon Clan. After the reform, does that mean they'll get rid of me too? As expected, only option 3 is reliable. It has a title and the 9 Revolutions Mysterious Art, a body tempering technique. The physical bodies of the Dragon Clan are already strong. With an added body tempering technique, even that bunch from the Wu clan would have to step aside. Besides, finding Punglai Immortal Island, no one has discovered it yet. The island is surely covered in treasures, and I can also restock the treasury. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. With my mind made up, I shouted for Long Ju. Long Ju, who was guarding the door, came in immediately. I told him to bring the map of the East Sea. After choosing the systems option, I now knew the location of Punglai Immortal Island. I made a mark on the map. Then I handed the map to Long Ju and told him to find a few people with high cultivation levels. Have Ao Guang scout the path ahead. Even though we've withdrawn from the Great Calamity, this matter is very important, so be sure to be careful. Hearing my specific instructions, Long Ju's expression turned grim, and he became vigilant. The next day, I reviewed the memories the system gave me a few times, then headed straight for Punglai Immortal Mountain with Long Ju and 1,000 elite soldiers. This trip was different from the usual, as the Great East Sea Development Plan had not yet been announced. Tens of thousands of miles east of the Dragon Palace, there were 3 small mountains arranged in a triangular formation. Each was only a few hundred meters tall, and there was very little spiritual energy. Yet today, over 1,000 members of the Dragon Clan had arrived. Upon seeing me, Ao Guang, who was standing guard nearby, appeared and bowed. Your Highness, we couldn't find anything at the location you circled on the map. There are only 3 ordinary little mountains. This was all within my expectations. Ao Guang was only coming for a day, so I never expected them to find it. Punglai Immortal Island has an innate restriction. It looks just like an ordinary hill. If it weren't for the system, I would have never believed this was the legendary Punglai Immortal Island. Following the system's prompt, I channeled my magic, and resonated with the innate restriction in front of me. A small portal of spiritual energy opened before my very eyes. Long Ju and Ao Guang watched this scene in shock. A dense wave of spiritual energy rushed out from behind the portal. Completely on par with the Dragon Clan's treasury, Ao Guang gulped and asked, Your Highness, is this the Punglai Immortal Island you spoke of? Long Ju also grew excited, saying, It's already like this just from opening the gate. The spiritual energy inside must be 10 or even 100 times stronger. If I could cultivate here, I could achieve a breakthrough within 100 years. I said, What are you waiting for? Let's go. With that said, I went in first. It felt as if I had entered another world. As the scene before me cleared, I saw a mountain peak soaring into the clouds. It was at least 10,000 meters high. The spiritual energy was so dense, not even the area under the Fusong tree could compare. The moment I came in, I felt a bottleneck in my cultivation level loosen. This trip was so worth it. That's floating cloud grass, Long Ju cried out in astonishment. And it's 1,000,000 years old. If something as useless as floating cloud grass can grow for 1,000,000 years. Imagine how precious the other spiritual herbs must be. My gaze shifted from the spiritual herbs to the surrounding trees. Just as I thought, most of them were innate spiritual roots. If these trees were to bear fruit, they would produce a huge batch of innate spiritual medicines. Ao Guang said with a wry smile, Your Highness, I don't dare to take a step. The spiritual herbs here are growing like weeds. Most are at least 100,000 years old. And there are plenty that are 1,000,000 years old. Long Ju and Ao Guang completely forgot their purpose for coming here. They just stood there stunned, their eyes wide with disbelief. I smiled and shook my head, not bothering to persuade them, and headed straight for the summit. After entering the immortal mountain of Punglai, I felt something at the summit calling out to me. I chose not to fly up there, for fear of missing any treasures. As I advanced, a small path actually appeared on the mountain. Jade spirit fruit, tastes pretty good, I'll take these. Fire tongue grass, a fire attribute spiritual herb, a rare million-year-old specimen. It looks like it's close to gaining sentience, so I'd better leave it alone. Halfway up the mountain, a small stream came into view. Its water was also brimming with spiritual energy. I didn't think much of it, though others would probably be amazed to see it. The spiritual energy in the water was comparable to a 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. The closer I got to the source, the denser it became. When I walked all the way to the summit and saw the source of the stream, I couldn't hold back my astonishment and my eyes went wide. Like I'd never seen anything grand in my life. At the summit, there was a round pool that served as the stream's source. But what shocked me was the white lotus throne in the center of the pool. Except for its color, it looked exactly like 12 Great World Annihilating Black Lotus. They were practically identical. In that case, its identity was obvious. The 12 Great World Purifying White Lotus was actually here. It and the World Annihilating Black Lotus are sworn enemies. Their functions are similar, yet opposite. Its defensive power goes without saying. It can also stabilize one's primordial spirit and purify all things. Curses, poisons, and inner demons from the primordial era. It can purify them all. It can also be used as a treasure to suppress one's destiny, and it's an ultimate innate defensive treasure. Most importantly, the one before my eyes is complete. A world-purifying white lotus, with its seeds and root intact. This trip to Punglai was absolutely worth it. Even Hong Jun would be green with envy to see a complete world-purifying white lotus. It's a good thing I got here early. However, my current cultivation level is not high enough to refine it. I'll leave it here for now to let it grow a little more. I'll come back to claim it when my cultivation is higher. I walked closer, formed a hand seal, and channeled the power of the formation, intending to protect this white lotus. Just as I was channeling the formation, something unexpected suddenly happened. I saw 2 streaks of light fly out from the white lotus, heading straight for me. Before I could even react, the light had already drilled into my body. I sensed it for a moment and was overjoyed. I never expected such a pleasant surprise. Those 2 streams of light are now resting in my sea of consciousness. One is a fragment of the jade of creation. The other one shocked me even more. It was actually a fragment of the heaven-opening axe. Back at the foot of the mountain, Long Ju and Ao Guang were surprisingly still there and hadn't gone up. I just smiled without a word and led them both out of Punglai Immortal Mountain. I left some of the Dragon Clan to guard the area, then I took Ao Guang and Long Ju back to the clan. The dragons gathered again in the Great Hall. Many of them who didn't know what was going on were whispering, trying to guess what I wanted to do. After the last Great War, the entire Dragon Clan submitted to me. Those who didn't are now enjoying themselves in the dungeon. So even when I later brought the Phoenix clan into the fold on a grand scale and squandered treasures from the vault, no one dared to say a word. When they were summoned this time, they thought I was going to waste more resources again, right up until I took my seat. Only then did these elite dragons start chattering amongst themselves. One dragon spoke up and asked, "Your Highness, why have you summoned us?" I said, "Don't worry. It's a great thing for the development of the Dragon Clan." Then I told them about Punglai Immortal Mountain. The Great Hall instantly erupted into an uproar. One dragon asked in astonishment, "Your Highness, is what you're saying true?" Ao Guang immediately shot down the doubter, saying, "Of course. Would His Highness lie to you?" Long Ju also confirmed, "What His Highness said is what we saw with our own eyes. That immortal mountain is truly covered in treasures." With this confirmation, the dragons grew even more excited. This is a great opportunity for our Dragon Clan. Dominating the primordial world is within our grasp. I smiled and interrupted them, saying, "Everyone, the benefits of that treasure mountain don't stop there. Right now, the spiritual herbs on the mountain are growing wildly and interfering with each other. If we plan it properly, Punglai Immortal Mountain can provide a continuous supply of spiritual herbs for the Dragon Clan." My words ignited the passion of every dragon present. However, they were also confused. How would a bunch of dragons know anything about farming? I want to develop Punglai, and this isn't a one-time deal. Draining the pond to catch the fish won't do. I've already told Ao Guang the detailed plan. You just need to provide the manpower. I've also made arrangements for the sea areas around the Immortal Mountain. This plan will be called the Eastern Great Development Plan. We will only develop Punglai Immortal Island. If we only do that, others will know something is up. It's not the thief we fear, but the fact that we're being targeted. If that shameless Hong Jun sets his sights on it, I'm not powerful enough to provoke him right now. Just then, a system prompt appeared. Option completed. Reward distributed. As soon as the voice faded, a surge of power suddenly poured into my body, directly shattering the bottleneck in my cultivation realm. My expression changed. Ignoring everyone in the hall, I flashed into a secret chamber in the back palace. I was speechless. Why would the body refinement art be sent directly? Don't I have to claim it myself? The system's power began to circulate within my body on its own. I could only focus my mind and concentrate on breaking through. Unlike the swordsmanship technique before, the 9 revolutions mysterious art was already at the level of the first revolution upon being granted. It doesn't cultivate the primordial spirit, only the physical body. When trained to the extreme, its raw strength can reshape heaven and earth. This is truly achieving enlightenment through sheer power. The immense force was like a wild bull. It rampaged through my body, and every place it passed through felt like it was being reconstructed. My muscles became more refined. I was already a direct descendant of the ancestral dragon with a powerful physique. After being enhanced by the 9 revolutions mysterious art, my physical strength could even surpass that of the Wu clan. I took out a large amount of spiritual herbs, piling them into a small mountain. Spiritual energy surged towards me like a river. It completely enveloped my entire body. It only took one day. Because I had a strong foundation, I mastered the first revolution directly. The art then began to operate on its own. Guided by the system's power, it then broke through the gate to the second revolution. The increase in power consumed a massive amount of spiritual energy. My body was like a black hole, devouring the spiritual energy. The affected area burst out of the secret chamber and spread into the courtyard. Fortunately, thanks to the innate spirit ginseng in the fusang tree, the spiritual energy in the courtyard is incredibly dense. It's barely enough to sustain my consumption. Yihei and Kong Xan were staring wide-eyed from the sidelines. They didn't even dare to stay in the courtyard. Both of them are golden immortals. But the speed at which I absorb spiritual energy completely suppressed them. Kong Xan is the direct son of the primordial phoenix, and Shihei is an innate being, yet neither of them could compete with me. They had to find another place to cultivate. However, my breakthrough was far from over. My 9 revolutions mystic art broke through to the second revolution, and this physical breakthrough, in turn, boosted my chi cultivation. My cultivation level shot up from the mid-stage golden immortal realm to the late stage. I was already on the verge of a breakthrough, and my foundation was more than sufficient. But even after reaching the late stage, I could feel I hadn't hit my limit. Inside the meditation chamber, my cultivation technique began to circulate even faster. Like a bottomless black hole, I frantically devoured the spiritual energy. The spiritual medicines I took out transformed into a massive torrent, flooding into my body. A small mountain of spiritual medicines vanished in an instant. I subconsciously took out even more and began to refine them frantically. Meanwhile, over the East Sea, colossal waves surged towards the heavens. A giant vortex suddenly appeared on the calm surface of the sea. Boundless spiritual energy from the heavens and earth poured into the East Sea. The winds and clouds gathered, forming dark, ominous clouds. The entire dragon clan was affected, as all the spiritual energy began to converge on me. A terrifying pressure descended upon every member of the dragon clan. One of them exclaimed in shock, "Is that His Highness breaking through? His aura is so powerful. It's like we're in the presence of the dragon ancestor himself." This strange phenomenon over the East Sea lasted for a full 100 years. Only after a century did the vision finally begin to fade. I also finally ended my seclusion. During my meditation, I had almost no awareness of the outside world. I lost all sense of time, too. It felt like I'd just taken a long nap. That's why I had no idea about the phenomenon happening outside. After emerging, I was thrilled to feel the changes within my body. What excited me most was the growth in my cultivation. After all, strength is the ultimate foundation of confidence. Not only did my cultivation level increase, but my 9 revolutions mystic art also stabilized at the second revolution. Right now, my physical strength far surpasses others at the same level. For starters, as a dragon, I was already invincible among my peers. And now, with the enhancement from the 9 revolutions mystic art, I can fight a mid-stage Taiyi golden immortal using only my physical body. Seeing me emerge, Kong Xan asked in disbelief, "Master, you've already reached the perfected golden immortal realm just like that?" I walked over, patted Kong Xan's shoulder, and said, "Reaching the perfected golden immortal realm? Isn't it a piece of cake?" Long Ju was outside as well. The moment he saw me, he saluted excitedly, his eyes gleaming. "Your Highness, you have finally emerged from your seclusion." I motioned for Long Ju to rise. Then I asked him how the Great Eastern Development Plan was going. Long Ju said that once they sensed I had come out of seclusion, everyone gathered in the main hall and asked me to please make my way there. When I entered the main hall, every dragon there reacted just like Long Ju had. All the dragons in the hall bowed in unison, their gazes filled with complete submission. We congratulate your highness on your successful breakthrough. Your divine might is unmatched in this world. Only after they had finished did I ask about the Great Eastern Development Plan. At the mention of this, the assembled dragons grew even more excited. They had all reaped enormous benefits from it, far more than they ever did under the dragon ancestors' rule. Before, they were all dirt poor, but now every single one of them is rolling in wealth. Over the past 100 years, every dragon, on average, broke through at least one minor cultivation realm. The overall strength of the dragon clan has risen to a whole new level. At home, they all teach their children to remember my good deeds. Without my plan, how could their children ever have access to 10,000-year-old spiritual medicines? Hearing all this, I came to understand the results of the Great Eastern Development Plan. When I first implemented it, I never intended to keep those resources for myself, with the exception of some extremely rare treasures. Everything else was distributed to enhance the strength of the dragon clan. In my eyes, those things were nothing compared to the dragon ancestors' accumulated wealth. There was no need for me to keep them, but in the eyes of the other dragons, this was an immense blessing. The dragon ancestor was just too stingy during his reign. All the treasures went straight into his treasury. When people said the dragon clan was rich, they really meant the dragon ancestor was rich. What resources do the other dragons have? Ao Guang said with a laugh, Your Highness. There's actually a funny little ditty going around the dragon clan now. Follow the ancestral dragon, and you'll starve 3 times a day. For fun, you can chew on little steel rods. But follow your highness's lead, and every meal is a feast of spiritual herbs. To work hard and be rewarded, becoming a wealthy man. I chuckled, watching the performance in the hall. There's no need for words today, the results speak for themselves. Just then, the system options popped up in front of me again. The host has successfully led the dragon clan out of the Dragon Han calamity. But in the vast primordial world, what's just one calamity? You can dodge it once, but you can't dodge it forever. And so, you decide to. Option 1. Let time pass and maintain the status quo. The Lich calamity is still a long way off, so you choose to do absolutely nothing. Reward. Your cultivation speed will be doubled. You'll train hard and then crush all who stand in your way. Option 2. Playing it safe, you decide to make your move early and seek out the demon clan. The system suggests recruiting Shihei, and wouldn't it be just perfect to lure Di Jun over to your side as well? Reward. Increased cultivation level and an enhanced bloodline. You'll also gain the fortune of the demon clan. Option 3. Playing it safe, you decide to make your move early and seek out the witch clan. Perhaps, with your powerful physical body, you're actually an undercover agent for the witch clan. Reward. A path of the great progenitor. A divine sword technique that can sever yin and yang. Seeing option 1, I was genuinely tempted this time. The Lich calamity is still a long way off, and my cultivation speed would be doubled. By the time the calamity arrives, I'll be a Da Luo Golden Immortal at the very least. As for option 2, recruiting the demon clan, forget about it. The demon clan's power structure is complicated, and neither Di Jun nor Tai are fools. After the Dragon Han calamity, the dragon clan is still the dominant power. If the demon clan wants to establish their demon court in the future, that's the same as trying to become the masters of the dragon clan. They'll definitely make a move against us, so that option is out. But when I saw option 3, I found myself hesitating. It had nothing to do with the reward. It was because the option itself was actually doable. Right now, I'm practicing the 9 Revolutions mysterious art. Based on that connection, could totally build a bridge with the witch clan. It'd be twice as effective with half the effort. Besides, I was also curious to see if the famously straightforward witch clan were really such stubborn blockheads. And then there are the 2 goddesses, Xuanming and Hutu. I'm quite curious about what they look like, too. Having made my decision, I left the main hall immediately. We respectfully see you off, Your Highness. The dragons bowed as they watched me go. I claimed my system reward and made a beeline for Bujo Mountain. Just as I got to Bujo Mountain, before I could even land, the space in front of me suddenly rippled. A figure materialized, watching me warily. Then, with a frown, Dijong said, Ao Zan of the Dragon Clan, and Kong Xan. This is the territory of our witch clan. Please leave, we don't welcome outsiders. The Dragon Clan is riding high right now. The last time Kong Xan and I passed by Bujo Mountain, he must have remembered me. So now that he sees us show up, he wants to chase us off. I was stunned. This was one of the 12 ancestral witches, Dijong, the ancestral witch of space and speed. To think the 12 ancestral witches are only at the golden immortal realm right now. Then I asked, "You're Dijong, aren't you? I've come today to discuss something with you." Dijong's tone was very aggressive. He was extremely hostile. "What is there to discuss? Our witch clan hasn't done anything to provoke you. Get lost, or I won't be so courteous." I was completely bewildered. They really live up to their reputation as the famous blockheads of the primordial world. With the Dragon Clan's current power, who wouldn't show us some respect? This guy, though, he just looks like a stubborn mule with a will of steel. "Hey, you," Kong Xan said, displeased. "My master is here to discuss something with you. What's with that attitude? Outsiders are forbidden from entering the ancestral lands of the Witch Clan. I don't care what your purpose is. It's not happening," Dijong snorted. Then suddenly, he changed his tune. "I hear you dragons are very wealthy, so you must have plenty of treasures on you, eh?" Then Dijong spoke up, saying, "Originally, I was going to chase you away, but if you give me some treasures, I can let you walk out on your own. I won't lay a hand on you." Now, that just pissed me off. Do you really think I'm that easy to bully? You think you can beat me? What can you do if I don't leave? Dijong said, "If I can't beat you, I'll just call the other ancestral witches to come together." I said, "And what if the other ancestral witches come and still can't beat me?" This made Dijong freeze. He actually stood there thinking about it. After a little while, Dijong still couldn't figure it out. He started to get agitated and shouted, "I don't care. Let's just fight first and talk later. If you can really beat us, you can do whatever you want." I agreed readily. Dijong attacked immediately. A brutal white light pierced through space, heading straight for my face. If this punch had landed, my face would have been a bloody mess. After all, ancestral witches also train their physical bodies. Right now, my physical body is in human form, not as strong as my true form. But in response, I just slowly raised my palm and caught his fist, taking his blowhead on with my 9 revolutions divine art. The terrifying force vanished without a trace. Dijong was dumbfounded. In disbelief, he threw another punch, but I caught it again with ease. It seems that with the second revolution of the 9 revolutions divine art, I've already surpassed the Wu clan of the same realm. The power of my true form would be even more terrifying. Right now, my physical strength is completely overwhelming. No matter how he fought, he was no match for me. Dijong could only struggle to hold on under my power. He was utterly shocked. Someone could actually overpower him physically. He sensed a familiar aura coming from me. It was the aura from my cultivation of the 9 revolutions divine art, but he mistook it for a Wu clan bloodline. In his mind, only the Wu clan possessed such an aura. A bold idea popped into Dijong's head. Could Aoxuan be my big brother? He can overpower my physical body and has a similar aura. If he isn't from the Wu clan, what is he? He's stronger than me, so he must have been born earlier. He must be my big brother. Before he could think any more, a voice came from the distance. "Who are you? Do you think our Wu clan has no one to stand up for it?" I frowned. A few more members of the Wu clan arrived from the distance. Judging by their presence, they were all ancestral witches. Zerong was the first to roar in anger, and the remaining ancestral witches also charged towards me, yelling. When they reached me, they attacked without a second word, giving me no chance to speak. These guys were all ancestral witches with formidable physical bodies, and they were aiming specifically for my face. Relying on their strength, pairs of iron fists blocked all my escape routes. I was getting seriously angry and fought back immediately. I grabbed the fists of Zerong and Goming with both hands and twisted my body, smashing them both into the third person surrounding me. Dijong also rejoined the attack at this moment. I didn't even dodge. I grabbed Dijong and used him like a giant hammer, smashing him into Zerong again and again. It seems there's no way to have a normal conversation without beating them into submission first. So I gritted my teeth and said, "You want to fight, right? Fine, I'll fight you to the very end." With that, I grabbed Dijong and started spinning, forcefully clearing a circular open space on the mountain. Kong Xan quickly moved far away, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. I thrashed the 4 ancestral witches for a whole hour. The other ancestral witches had also arrived, but they just gathered around to watch the show. After being beaten for an hour, Dijong hurriedly begged for mercy. "Stop, stop, stop. Big brother, I give up. If it weren't for their sturdy bodies, their souls would have long departed." Zerong and the others were also beaten into submission. I snorted coldly, let go, and said, "Can we talk properly now?" Dijong rubbed his face and said, "How can someone's physical body be even stronger than ours?" Zerong raised a doubt. Is that guy really from the Dragon Clan? Why do I feel like he's more of a Wu clan member than I am? The other ancestral witches chimed in, yeah, compared to him, we ancestral witches feel like fakes. Dijong guessed, could he be a long-lost member of the Wu clan? The dragon clan could never have such a powerful physical body. He must be one of our Wu clan. His body is stronger than all of ours, so his bloodline must be even better. We have to help Big Brother return to his clan. Big Brother must have been lost since he was a child, wandering out there, not knowing he's a member of the Wu clan. Poor Big Brother. As Dijong spoke, he was so moved that he started to cry. Influenced by him, the other ancestral witches all started crying too. Intelligence of these primordial huskies is truly something else. Unbelievably, not a single one of them doubted Di Yang's words. Zhu Rong, also in tears, said, but what if Big Brother doesn't accept us? Dijong suggested, I have an idea. Let's not tell him for now. We'll trick him into going to the Pengu temple. If he can get inside, then he must be from the Wu clan. Once we have proof, Big Brother is sure to accept it. After settling things with his brothers, Dijong turned and walked towards me. Seeing the strange look on my face, he put on that sorrowful expression again. Little did he know, I was completely stunned from overhearing everything. I even wanted to tell them, hey, could you guys be a little quieter when you're plotting? However, this situation is very advantageous for me. If my identity as the Big Brother of the Wu clan is confirmed, then the whole Wu clan will be in my grasp. Kong Xan, standing by, was shocked. He marveled that he'd chosen to follow the right person. Even the Wu clan wanted to call him their Big Brother. It's a good thing he pledged his allegiance first. Dijong turned to me with a serious face and said, Big Brother, I'm sorry for being so rough earlier. Let's go to the Pengu temple and rest for a bit. The other 9 ancestral witches behind him wore the exact same expression. I, on the other hand, had to pretend I didn't know a thing. I was utterly helpless. I guess I had to play along with their little show. Our group moved swiftly. After a few moments, the legendary Pengu temple appeared before our eyes. Dijong said this temple was formed from Pengu's heart. Seeing it with my own eyes, I knew he spoke the truth. The breathtaking sight before me was indescribable. The wood was made of some material I couldn't identify, and the bricks and tiles were unrecognizable. It seemed both man-made and yet naturally formed. There were no signs of carving, yet the intricate patterns couldn't be fake. Before I even got close, an immense pressure descended upon me. But shortly after, the fragment of the sky-splitting axe in my sea of consciousness trembled. And the pressure vanished. I figured that pressure must be the temple's screening process. Those without the Wu clan bloodline probably can't get in. The 10 ancestral witches behind me watched me walk right in, and their breathing grew heavy. We were right, he really is our Big Brother. After I went inside, the first thing I saw was a stone tablet. Fragmented laws of the Tao were wrapped around it. Behind the tablet was an enormous pool of blood. Dijong pointed to the pool and said that was where they were born. However, Pengu's essence blood was limited. After giving birth to the 12 of us, the essence blood was all used up. From now on, it will only create grand witches, not ancestral witches. I nodded. It wasn't just a matter of the essence blood. The 12 ancestral witches are a number set by fate. There can only be 10. The great hall was empty, containing only the stone tablet and the blood pool. The outside of the temple was stunning, but the inside was very simple. Yet the space was as vast as a small world. And with a blood pool like a lake at its center, you couldn't exactly call it ordinary. Dijong came to my side and said with deep emotion, Big Brother, it's time to tell you the truth. The truth is, you were also born from this very blood pool. Even earlier than us. Big Brother, you've suffered so much out there. I deceived you, bringing you to the Pengu temple. I just wanted to see if you could get inside. Only those with the bloodline of the Wu clan can enter this place. And you did. That means your bloodline has been acknowledged by the Father God. Looking at his guilt-ridden face, I was cursing up a storm in my head, but on the outside, I still had to act shocked. I can't believe I'm actually one of the Wu clan. Then, that makes you my younger brother. Just then, the other ancestral witches walked into the main hall. My eyes were immediately drawn to 2 figures among them. Xuanming and Hutu followed them in, and the system's ratings for them immediately popped up. They were both rated above a 9. Xuanming, the one in front, had waist-length black hair and skin as white as snow. Even though she was from the witch tribe, she was petite and delicate like a little loli. But surprisingly, she was quite well endowed. Following behind her was Lady Hutu. She was about the same height as me. Her looks were on par with Zaihe's, but she had a different kind of aura. Shihei is cold and aloof, but Hutu was more like a caring, older sister type. Seeing them both, I have to admit, my heart skipped a beat. I quickly looked away and turned my attention to the stone stele in the center. There were only two things in this hall: the blood pool and the steel. The blood pool is useless to me since the system will reward me with a bloodline upgrade anyway. That means the only thing left that could benefit me was this stone steel covered in inscriptions. I reached out and touched the steel. Its carvings felt rough and natural. After reading a few passages, I knew it was the 9 Revolutions Divine Art, a top-tier body refining technique from the primordial era. It was just displayed there so openly. On second thought, I could understand why. Only the shaman clan can enter this grand hall, so it doesn't matter if the technique is common knowledge among them. I examined the stone tablet closely, and when I looked at the end, I noticed something was wrong. The latter part was incomplete. The 9 Revolutions Divine Art passed down by the shaman clan was actually fragmented. Dijong scratched his head and explained that this was the 9 Revolutions Divine Art, but because the Dao marks in the hall were incomplete, the technique was cut short. It stopped around the 5th revolution. I ignored Dijong. I discovered something else inside the tablet, something that could even block my divine sense. I told Dijong to step back, then directly took out the Taichu sword and split the stone tablet with a single strike. I moved so fast that Dijong didn't even have time to react. The huge stone tablet split into 2 halves. A glowing fragment flew out and shot directly into my sea of consciousness. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was a divine ability, heaven and earth manifestation. Dijong angrily asked, "Big brother, why did you destroy the tablet?" The other ancestral shamans gathered around as well. Xuanming and Hutu both frowned. The big brother they had just acknowledged had destroyed the treasure left by the Father God. But I just laughed. If the tablet is destroyed, it's destroyed. I have the complete 9 Revolutions Divine Art right here. As I spoke, I took out a bamboo slip. I used my divine sense to inscribe the complete technique onto it and handed it to Dijong. By splitting the tablet, I had obtained the heaven and earth manifestation. And I feel like there's more, because the light in my sea of consciousness hasn't faded yet. As for handing over the complete technique, I wasn't worried at all. Anyone who knows the shaman clan's situation would understand. The other ancestral shamans were stunned. Xuanming and Hutu got even angrier. Even if you are our big brother, you can't joke about something like this. The 2 women pouted, thinking I was lying to get myself out of trouble. After Dijong examined it, he quickly handed the bamboo slip to them. And he said excitedly, "It's real. It's the real 9 Revolutions Divine Art." After Xuanming and Hutu inspected it, they both blushed and looked at me sheepishly, saying, "Big brother. We thought you were tricking us just now." Dijong said earnestly, "Big brother. We were a little unconvinced before, but now we are truly convinced. You should be the lord of our shaman clan." The other ancestral shamans all nodded in agreement. "You can fight several of us at once, and you've completed our clan's legacy. Your bloodline is also stronger than ours. You could even take on 5 or 6 of us at once. You are a natural-born shaman lord." They now trusted me completely. After all, in the Pangu Divine Hall, my bloodline had already been verified. Hearing this, Xuanming and Hutu looked at me in disbelief. The other ancestral shamans came to their senses and recounted the fight from earlier. The 2 women's impression of me changed once again. When they first saw me, they just thought I was handsome. Now, after they heard I could fight several ancestral witches at once, their good impression turned directly into adoration. Who wouldn't be smitten by a man who's both handsome and strong? I'm already used to the Wu clan's constant overreactions. On the surface, I was calm, but inside, I was ecstatic. Was that easy to be recognized as the lord of the Wu clan? The system's objective was basically completed for me. Before I could finish my thought, Dijong forcibly pulled me onto the main throne of the Pangu Divine Hall. Then, he led the other Wu clan members in a grand bow, formally establishing my status as the Wu lord. Just then, a system notification popped up. Objective completed. Become the lord of the Wu clan. Reward received. 1 big boy. Sword art. Severing yin and yang. A sword strike that severs the yin and yang of heaven and earth. It can destroy the physical body and sever the primordial spirit. Hearing, complete, I was overjoyed when I saw the big boy in my inventory. I couldn't help but smile. Back when I was dealing with the Phoenix and Qilin clans, the big boy's power was immense. Now I have another one. With an extra ace up my sleeve, I felt more secure. The ancestral witches saw that I was happy, and thought I was happy about becoming the Wu Lord. They excitedly discussed, "Look how happy Big Brother is. He must be really happy to be the Wu Lord. Big Brother is so powerful. If we follow Big Brother from now on, life for the Wu clan will definitely get better and better. With Big Brother leading us, the Wu clan will surely replace the 3 great clans and become the new overlords." Seeing how much faith they had in me, I was a bit speechless. I didn't even have the heart to deceive these simpletons. They might be a bit foolish, but they're my underlings now. I can't just watch them suffer a loss. After a moment's thought, I took out a pile of heavenly treasures from the Chaos Pearl. It soon formed a small mountain on the ground. When the ancestral witches saw it, they were shocked to see they were all spirit roots over 100,000 years old. Di Zhang and the other ancestral witches gasped in disbelief. They had never seen so many treasures. I waited for them to calm down a bit. Di Zhang asked in confusion, "Big brother, what is all this?" I waved my hand and said, "These are all spiritual medicines for strengthening the body. You all can divide them amongst yourselves. Since I'm your big brother, consider this a welcome gift." The ancestral witches didn't expect me to be so generous. They were deeply moved, but thinking that I also needed to cultivate, they all refused. These ancestral witches might seem simple-minded, but they value brotherhood immensely. The treasures I took out would cause a bloodbath if they were anywhere else. But there was no greed in their eyes, only sincerity. This actually made me want to give it to them even more. I put on a serious expression, displaying the authority of the Wu Lord, and said, "If you still recognize me as your big brother and Wu Lord, then don't refuse. The primordial world is full of slaughter right now. Only by becoming stronger can you protect your clansmen." Hearing me say this, the ancestral witches no longer refused. They knelt down emotionally to thank me. I quickly helped them up, saying, "We're all family, don't be so formal." When I helped up Xuanming and Hutu, I held their soft hands and my heart skipped a beat. The two women were clearly moved by my words, looking at me with their big, glistening eyes. Their gazes were full of affection, snapping out of their gentle stares. I remembered I still had a system reward for recruiting beautiful women. Xuanming and Hutu, with their unparalleled beauty, definitely qualify. Looking at the 12 happy ancestral witches, I made a serious proposal, "My brothers. I feel that it's not quite right for two young ladies, Xuanming and Hutu, to be roughing it with you guys all day. Their physical bodies are naturally weaker, so they aren't quite suited for focusing solely on physical cultivation. Why don't they come with me to the Dragon Clan first? I'll see if I can find a method of primordial spirit cultivation that suits them." Hearing me say this, the straightforward ancestral shamans didn't overthink it, instead looking happily at the two women. When Xuanming and Hutu heard they were to go with me to the Dragon Clan, their eyes lit up with joy. Then, the two women, blushing, walked over to my side, lowered their heads shyly and said, "Thank you, big brother." Having won over Xuanming and Hutu, I didn't stay in the Pangu Divine Hall for much longer. I bid farewell to the ancestral shamans. Hearing that I was leaving, the ancestral shamans all looked reluctant to see me go. Although we had only known each other for a short time, I had demonstrated my strength, given them the complete 9 revolutions divine art, and countless treasures. I had won their respect and recognition. I smiled and reassured them, saying, "Don't worry. I'm only leaving temporarily. I'll be back soon." Hearing this, the ancestral shamans were finally at ease. Kong Xan, who was waiting outside the hall, hurried to greet me. When he saw the two women behind me, he had a puzzled look on his face. Model. I briefly explained that I was now the lord of the Witch Clan, and that Hutu and Xuanming would be working with me from now on. Kong Xan was stunned, in utter disbelief. Seeing this, Hutu and Xuanming came forward, linking their arms with mine on either side. Brother Aoxuan really is the Witch Lord now. From now on, the entire Witch Clan will answer to Brother Aoxuan. With their personal confirmation, Kong Xan had no choice but to believe. After arriving at the Dragon Palace, he looked down below. At the sight of a palace built from countless treasures, the two women's eyes widened in shock. They were worldly and had seen many things, but they were still astonished by such a magnificent dragon palace. I led the two women into the Dragon Palace and arranged for them to stay in quarters next to my own. I left them a wealth of treasures and resources for their cultivation. I had so many treasures from Punglai that these were merely a drop in the bucket for me. Just as I got the two women settled, the system notification sounded. Option complete. Recruited ancestral witch Hutu. Reward obtained. Divine movement technique. Divine void step. Option complete. Recruited ancestral witch Xuanming. Reward obtained. 3 bottles of primordial ethylene ripening agent. The divine void step is a movement technique. It goes without saying that it can massively increase my speed, but I was mainly interested in those 3 bottles of agent. What kind of random junk was this stupid system giving me now? I was a bit baffled. I took out a bottle and read the description. I gasped, my eyes widening in astonishment. This ripening agent could actually mature spiritual treasures. Doesn't this mean I can, in advance, harvest the 12-petal world purifying white lotus? I thought of the immature white lotus on Punglai Immortal Island. I was ecstatic. The world purifying white lotus can stabilize fate. It's also an innate supreme defensive treasure. Getting my hands on it early would be another ace up my sleeve for protection. Suppressing my excitement, I summoned Long Ju and headed straight for Punglai Immortal Island. I had previously launched the Great Eastern Development Plan to conceal the island. Although it was just a ruse, the development of the nearby sea was real.